Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Umineko Chapter 7, The Tea Party. This is one of the longer tea parties as we're in part 2 of it. It seems we're playing through an entire game, and although nobody has died to the first twilight, it seems the adults of the Ushiramiya family are tearing themselves apart. We're running low on Ushiramiya adults. That's the best way to put it, as they're all dead except for Kyrie and Rudolph now. They all shot each other over gold. Ava started it, and Kyrie finished it. And as Kyrie says, all of them were really slow-witted.
爆弾の仕掛けを聞いたとき、この島からすべての仲良しごっこが消え去ったことに気づけなかったなんて。
From the moment they heard about the bomb, they should have known they wouldn't be leaving the island as a big, happy family. I would have said from the moment they started arguing about the gold, or even saw the gold, since these guys are all crazy greedy. But yes, the bomb made it obvious. Kyrie is right.
Rosa.
Sorry about the Aniki. Rosa. Yeah, the second you have the bomb and an easy way to hide anyone getting murdered, Kyrie is right that this is that should be the biggest hint that if anyone decides to put murder on the table, it's gonna be a bloodbath. That's life for you. Give me a break, okay? Aniki and Aniki get into a fight. Rosa gets dragged in. And I'm the one who picks up the pieces. Like it's always been, right? It wasn't as though Rudolph and Kyrie had planned to kill everyone and take everything for themselves from the start. Kyrie quickly realized by the length of the barrel of the gun in her hands it would probably hold 5 rounds at a time. Yes, Kyrie and Rudolph were both very familiar with this gun. Rudolph, whose interest in guns from old westerns came from his father, owned a shotgun of the same model. Even Kyrie had earned the qualifications to use that gun, becoming familiar enough with it that they could go shooting together for fun. Including the witch, there had been 8 people there, 6 people besides the 2 of them. Each gun held 5 rounds. They'd need to be very precise, wouldn't they? That was 1 short. They didn't have enough to kill everyone. To be honest, it really surprised me when they got into a fight and one of the guns went off. Yeah, just one was convenient. The coincidental accident had provided the missing bullet. It wasn't the second shot. The very first shot which accidentally killed Natsuhi had guaranteed this massacre would happen. I mean, I think once someone decides to start shooting someone, everyone's gonna start thinking shooting's on the table. Even if the bullet count is not exactly 5. Like the bullets to number of people is less relevant, considering if you may not kill someone immediately, they might get to retaliate, or you might miss. I mean, sure, you're in close quarters and it's unlikely, but let's consider that, like, those are theoretical possibilities. Natsuhi being the unwitting spark to start the whole debacle again. You mean Ava actually antagonizing her by shooting her in the face? That's one way to antagonize someone, right? Just shoot them in the head. Easy way to start the debacle. I guess her death is a spark to start this mess, but I mean, is that really her fault? Don't know. Not really important if it is or isn't, though. But they're all dead now. So the next question is, are they going to try and save anyone other than themselves? Is Battler dead? Is Battler going to die? Are they going to try to save him, or is he just going to be like, fuck Battler, the guy doesn't even like me? In this smoke and corpse-filled room of gold, 2 of them wore easygoing smiles, hardly any different from those they usually wore. What do we do now? Rudolph picked up Rosa's gun, and then he fired a test shot at the wall and ejected the old shell with a smooth motion like Kyrie's. Kyrie went to the box of bullets on the table, casually picked up a few, and loaded them one after another into her gun. Set the bomb switch to on. Then we just wait 24 hours. Yeah, you know, you're sure there's fragments where someone else dies to Kyrie or Rudolph? Yeah, there's fragments where other people live and die. I'm sure there's some fragments where different people. If you go to a fragment where they solve this, as unlikely as it is, there's probably a fragment where any individual number of people die, or the survivors change. Maybe Kyrie dies. Maybe Rudolph dies. Maybe they both die. Who knows? Maybe everyone dies. Set the bomb switch on. Wait 24 hours.
朝になれば姿が見えないと騒ぎになるぜ。
Everyone's gonna run wild when morning comes and they can't find us.
騒がせなければいい。
We just need to make sure they don't then.
そうなるな。
I guess
バトルは
so.
どうする？
What about Battler?
あなたの子供よ。
He's your
私
son.
の子供じゃないわ。
Not mine.
そういうこと言うなよ。
Don't say
あんな
that.
に懐いてたじゃねえか。
Look how attached he is to you.
あいつ、お前のこと尊敬してるんだぜ。
He really respects you.
じゃあ、うまいこと言いくるめる言い訳を考えてね。
Then think of a clever way to trick him.
私はエンジェのことを考える。
I'll worry about NJ.
あなたはバトラ君のことを考える。
You worry about Battler-kun.
公平でしょ？
Fair enough.
うん。
Sure.
私、自分の子供には優しいけれど、
I'm kind to my own children,
アスムさんの子供にまで優しくするの。
but it's a real
結構
pain
大
to be
変なの。
nice to Asuma-san's kid. But Battler isn't Asuma-san's kid.
わかってるでしょ？
You understand, I hope. Kyrie's voice had grown cold. She acted warmly towards Battler because that was the adult thing to do. He was Rudolph's son, and so she tried to avoid being hostile, nothing more. That awkward moment where Battler couldn't use red text to say that he was Asuma's son, so we know he's not Asuma's son. Underneath that, he was the son of Asumu, a woman Kyrie still hated even though she was dead. Now that she had given birth to NJ and finally built up a new family, was Battler's return really such a happy thing for her?
腹をくくって
Get yourself ready.
ここまで来たら
Now that we've come this
10
far,
億をつかむか死ぬかだけよ。
we can only go for the billion yen or die
バ
trying.
トラ君が納得しなかったら悪いけれどそれまでよ。
If you can't convince Battler-kun, I'm sorry, I won't be taking any chances.
脅かすなよ。
Oh, no need to threaten me.
任せろって。
I'll take care
う
of
ま
it.
いこと丸め込んでやるから。
I'll find a good story to tell him.
せいぜいしっかりね。
Make sure you
バ
do.
トラ君が事故で亡くなったと聞いたらきっとエンジェも悲しむわ。
I know, NJ will be very sad if she's forced to hear about Battler-kun dying in an accident.
おう。手始めにどうする？
How do we start?
朝を待って得になることはないわ。
We have nothing to gain by waiting for morning.
今が最適よ。
Now's the best time.
やれ。
Oh, wonderful.
一服する暇もなしかよ。
Not even time for a break. So who is she shooting? I mean, the glass shattering when she shoots is a nice touch, but who is she shooting there? A test shot, another one? Alright.
テスト
A test?
何をする気だよ。
What's this supposed
こ
to
の
be?
時間に
At this time of the
今
night?
から
Starting now? Battler yelled wildly into the receiver. When he said at this time of night, George and Jessica turned to look. According to the clock, it was past midnight. It might be a normal time to be told to brush their teeth and go to bed, but he couldn't understand what this test thing was all about.
わかったよ。変わるぜ。
Yeah, okay, I'll hand it over. Ah, are they gonna do like the same test deal they did that Shannon and George, Mari and whatnot had to do with Kinzo?
ジョージの兄貴に、
Here, George
う
Anarchy.
ちの親父から。
My dad.
もしもし、代わりジョージ
Hello.
です。
This is George.
おう、ジョージ君か。
George
こん
can.
な時間にすまねえな。
Sorry to call so late.
寝てたわけじゃねえだろ。
You weren't sleeping already, were
み
you?
んなでいろいろ盛り上がってたんだろ。
You were all still up chatting away?
そんなところです。
Oh, pretty
マ
much.
リアちゃんは寝てて。あ、
Maria-san still
Mega
is
Sammy-san
sleeping.
today.
Oh, no. Looks like she just woke up.
それで何の話ですか？
What did you want to talk
バ
about?
トラ君はテストとか言ってましたけど。
Battler-kun said something about a test?
ん あ
Yeah,
あ
yeah.
親父にも困ったもんさ。
Dad's such a pain
さっき
sometimes.
唐突に上から降りてきてな。
He came down from his room
い
all
ろ
of a
いろあ
sudden.
った挙句どの孫が次の当主にふさわしいかなんて話に急になっちまって
A
よ。
bunch of stuff happened, and by the end he was talking about which grandchild would make the best successor.
次期当主はクラウスおじさんなのでは。
Isn't Uncle Kraus the successor? Okay, so previously they were able to call and fool people into thinking Kinzo was on the phone. I guess it was like Kraus or someone else fabricating that. Because Rudolph isn't even pretending to be anyone else but himself.
俺たち4人はみんな次期当主失格だとよ。
He says the four of us aren't up to the job.
それで俺たち親をすっ飛ばして孫から次期当主を選ぶなんて話
He
にな
says
っ
he's
ちま
gonna
った
skip
わけ
us
さ。
adults and choose one of you grandkids instead.
急な話で俺たちも大いに荒れてる。
It's also sudden. We're really freaking out
向
here.
こうで兄貴たちはケンケンガクガクやってるぜ。
Aniki and the others are all arguing about it across the
兄貴
room.
の金切り声が受話器越しにも聞こえねえか？
I'll bet you can hear her shrieking in the background, right?
そうですか。
Is that
お
so?
じい様がおっしゃることなら仕方がないですね。
I mean, if that's what grandfather says, then there's no way around it, I guess.
それで僕たちはどうすれば？
Okay, so what do we do? Rudolph and Kyrie read episode 4 on the boat right here. That's funny.
ジェシカちゃんから順に一人ずつ呼び出しがあるそうだ。
He says he wants to call you out one by one, starting with Jessica-chan.
ちょっと待ってくれ。
Oh, wait.
ああ、もしもし。
Wait, you
ト
still
ッ
there?
プバッターはジョージ君とジェシカちゃんだそうだ。
It's like you and Jessica-chan will be first up to bat.
ジェシカちゃんは屋敷の客前。
He wants Jessica-chan to go to the parlor in the
ジョージ
mansion,
君は礼拝堂の前まで行ってほしいそうだ。
and you're supposed to go out in front of the chapel.
いきなりのことで心の準備が全くありませんが。
Sudden, I hardly feel ready.
テストって何ですか？
What sort of test
親
is
父の
it?
やつめ。おかしなクイズみたいなものを作ったみたいだ。
Looks like Dad made some kind of crazy
当
quiz
主の心構えとは何ぞや。みたい
Some
な
weird
尋問
questions
らしいぜ。
about what it means to be the head. I swear, if they make the same questions, that's gonna be pretty funny. Of course, a few things about this seemed off to George. Yeah, why aren't his own parents calling? However, Kinzo is famous for doing radical shit on a whim. Even this strange test seemed plausible once he heard it was a sudden idea of Kinzo's. Even so, if he wanted to test them one by one, why wouldn't he call them out one by one? They could have just had everyone wait in the reception room to be called in one at a time. Why would two people be called to different places at the same time? The plan didn't seem to make sense, and George felt he was missing something.
しかし、なんだってジョージ君は礼拝堂前なんだろうな。
Still, I wonder why he wanted to meet you in front of the chapel of all
じい
places.
様が特に要望し
He
て。
expects a lot from
よく
you.
はわからねえが、二人きりで話したいことがあるそうだ。
I think he wants to talk to you alone, not sure what
お
about.
じい様が僕に。
Grandfather wants to talk to me?
何の話だろうな。
I wonder what he's got to
ジョー
say.
ジ君は孫の中で一番優秀だからな。
I mean, you're the most talented of all the grandkids.
何か特に話したいことでもあるんじゃねえか。
He's probably got something to tell you in particular, right? Anyway,
とにかくそういうわけだ。
what he says. I feel like Rudolph's lie is much less convincing than the episode 4, was it? Lies? Like, Rudolph is far less convincing, because Kinzo isn't believed to be on the other end of things, telling people to do stuff. And, like, George is already very suspicious.
すぐに移動してくれ。
Get over there right away. Does this plan of theirs, this slapdash plan of theirs go wrong almost immediately?
礼拝堂の方には俺も行くことになってる。
I'm supposed to go to the
さっ
chapel
さと
too.
済ませようぜ
Let's。get this over
お
with.
互い風邪をひいちまうわ。
We're both gonna catch colds.
そうですか。
I see.
わかりました。
Alright.
では、僕は礼拝堂の前へ。
I'll head towards the front
ジェ
of
シ
the
カちゃん
chapel.
は客前へ。
Jessica will go to the parlor.
はい。
Sure.
それでは、後ほど。
See you in a bit then. What sort of test or private conversation could Kinzo possibly want to have at this time of night? Then again, it's a well-known fact Kinzo doesn't have long to live. It wouldn't be too strange if he wanted to give some sort of will to each of his descendants individually. Inside George's mind, the faint feeling something was wrong was replaced by a desire to meet Kinzo directly and hear about this in more detail. George set down the receiver and quickly explained to the others.
聞いたの通りだよ。
So
お
as
じ
you
い様
heard.
が僕たち全員に何かのテストをしたいと言ってる。
Grandfather says he wants to give us all some kind of test.
テスト？
Test?
何年かぶりに書斎から出てきたと思ったら、こんな時間にテストごっこかよ。
After hiding in his study all these years, he suddenly decides to give us a test this late at night?
たくじいさまめ。
Damn old geezer.
何を考えてや
What's,
がん
what's
だ
he。thinking?
それに関しては僕たちの親も同感のようだよ。
It seems our parents feel the
かな
same
り
way.
揉めてるみたいだ。
Sounds as though they're really worked up about it.
揉めたところでじい様には勝てないんだろうけどな。
Well, I doubt getting worked up about it will change grandfather's mind.
そういうことだね。
Exactly.
仕方がない。
Might as well accept
当
it.
主様の命令だからね。
It is grandfather's order, after
従
all.
おう。
Let's obey it.
まず最初は僕とジェシカちゃんが呼ばれてる。
To start, Jessica and I are being called out.
僕は礼拝堂へ。
I'm going to the
ジ
chapel.
ェシカちゃんはお屋敷の客前だそうだ。
Jessica's going to the parlor in the mansion.
俺とマリアは
What about Mari and me?
追って連絡があると思うよ。
I think they're contacting
こ
you
こで
later.
待ってて。
Wait here.
真夜中のテスト。
A midnight
なん
test?
だろう。
What could it be? What could it be?
どんなテストだろう。
Kind of test?
クイズ？
A quiz?
パズル？
Puzzle?
マリア、狼と羊のパズルなら得意。
I'm good at wolves and sheep puzzles. Maria, who was now fully awake, seemed to be very excited about this unexpected midnight test.
じゃあ俺たちは留守番してるぜ。
And we'll just hang out here.
じゃあ行ってくれよ。
Alright, I'm going.
もう待ってるみたいだし。
Sounds like they're already waiting for us.
次期当主は孫の誰かにね。
So he's making one of his grandkids the successor.
私には好都合だぜ。
Sounds great to
誰
me.
かに押し付けるチャンス。
I can let one of you guys deal with it.
マリア、次期当主になる。
I'm gonna become the successor.
なりたい、なりたい。
I wanna do it. I wanna do it.
うんうんうん。
Mari would make the best successor.
マリアが次期当主ってのも悪くねえぜ。
Mari as a successor wouldn't be too bad. That would be great.
じゃあ
I
ね、
like this plan.
また
Bye.
後で。
See you later. Mario would make the best successor. Because, of course, you'd have to do magic tricks. Rudolph put the receiver down and stood up.
さて俺は礼拝堂前か。
Guess I'm going to the spot in front of the chapel.
冷えそうだな。
Damn cold out there.
ゴーダさん
Yoda,
戻ってきたら熱いコーヒーの用意を
have
頼
some
むぞ。
coffee waiting for me when I get back, will you? Next to Rudolph, Goda was lying face up, his face covered by a crossword puzzle book. However, its pages were stained with blood, and you didn't need to move the book to imagine how he met his pitiful end.
どう？
How was
いい
it?
脚本だったでしょ？
A nice script, don't you think?
ああ、親父に感謝だぜ。
We should be
親
thanking
父の
Dad.
気まぐれってことにしときゃ誰も疑いやしね
If we just say it was him being fickle, no one will doubt us. The man's so damn fickle and so loopy that like anyone can say anything. They're just like, oh yeah, it's our crazy old dad, man. He wants everyone to jump off a 50-foot cliff, and the survivor gets to be the successor. And they're like, well, someone's gonna survive. I guess we'll jump.
じゃあ手分けしていきましょう。
Let's split up.
私はジェシカちゃんを、
I'll take care of
あなた
Jessica.
はジョージ君を。
You take care of George.
おう
You got
手
it.
際よく済ませてのんびりコーヒーで
Let's
も
get
す
this
する
over
ぞ
with quickly so we can relax and have some coffee.
大丈夫よね。
Won't be any problems, yeah?
今頃になって両親の呵責とか。
No sudden pangs of
Nice.
conscience? Kyrie smiled coldly. It probably would have been safer to call them out one by one and finish them off together. However, Kyrie had chosen to have her husband work separately. She wanted to measure Rudolph's resolve. If she was the only one who got her hands dirty and Rudolph just watched, his heart wouldn't be as dedicated to this venture. By having him dirty his own hands, she could make him truly determined to see this thing through. Kyrie understood this sort of mind game better than anyone else. Rudolph reflexively averted his gaze from the cold glint in her eyes, but then he just shrugged and answered her question.
当たり前だろ。
Of course.
10億の金が手に入るかどうかの瀬戸際にいるんだ。
We got 1 billion yen riding on this. And honestly, you might be able to get 1 or 2 bars of gold off the island. I don't think getting all of them is plausible, but if you have a way, 1 or 2 seems feasible. Although it'd be very difficult since there'd be a police investigation. I guess I'd just let it sink. Let it sink, it's too risky otherwise.
俺も男だぜ。
And I'm a man.
人生に二度とないチャンスを棒に振るつもりはねえさ。
I'm not gonna miss a chance that'll never come again in my lifetime.
それでこそルドルフさんよ。
I expect nothing less of you, Rudolph-san.
私はここ一番のチャンスを逃さない人が好き。
I love people who seize chances when they
そん
come.
なあなただから私は好きになった
I
の。
fell in love with you. I'm curious. So do Kyrie and Rudolph get off the island? What happens? This is a more interesting one. Is they're pitching us a new opportunity. Now, the assumption we should make, because we've only seen one outcome, that doesn't result in everyone dying. We've seen Ava survives. The assumption is that either Kyrie and Rudolph, some combination of Kyrie and Rudolph survive. But there's a very real chance that everyone dies here anyway. An interesting question, who's going to live here, when in previous games it was entirely unclear, and this is just a tea party, of all things. That's why I fell in love with you.
おう、
Thanks.
嬉しいぜ。
I'm glad.
ルドルフさん
Rudolph-san?
なんだよ。
What?
ずっといてね。
They like that always, okay?
え？
You could probably have enough time to hide 10 bars. The issue is that the police are going to investigate the area of the explosion and might find the gold bars you hid somewhere on the island. As they're going to be investigating the area they find you, Kuidorian. Makes sense. The police are going to investigate the place they found you and the explosion site. Now, presumably, we know that they won't find the gold, but it'd be really hard to hide those bars. Maybe if you're really, really lucky, you can go to the sub base. Maybe if you're really lucky and a little bit courageous, you can go to the sub base, know that it's relatively shallow water, and throw a few bars in there, because gold bars are fucking heavy and aren't going to move very far. Just toss them in the lake, or toss them in the harbor. If you're really lucky, but we'll see about that. I mean, there is a sunk sub there, so it's not like there's going to be a... It's not like there's a straight path for the water to get out, because the sub sunk there. But they don't necessarily know that there's a sunk sub in the sub base that would, like, stop anything from moving it, and they'd still have to struggle to find the gold in the first place. But that might be what you try to do. If you really wanted more money. That said, billion yen, still $10 million, that's pretty good.
なんだって？
What did you say?
ずっと
Always remain the same Rudolph-san I love.
私の好きなルドルフさんのまま
Okay.
でいてね。
当然だろ。
Of course.
俺がいつお前を失望させたよ。
When have I ever let you down?
お前はそんな心配より祝杯をあげる時のシャンパンの銘柄でも迷ってろっ
You
て
should be worrying more about what kind of champagne we'll use to toast our victory.
そうするわ。
I'll do that.
いい？
I'll do that. Take
バタ
care
ー
now.
君が大事なら礼拝堂前でジョージ君をやっちゃダメよ。
If you really treasure Battler-kun, don't kill George in front of the chapel,
死
okay?
体を見つけられたら面倒でしょ。
It'll be a pain if he finds the body.
ああ、分かってる。
I know.
その辺にうまく誘い出すさ。
I'll lure him away
雨の
somehow.
屋外だ。
We'll be outside, it's
ど
raining.
うとでもなるさ。
Could be some way to do it.
西部劇の悪役じゃないんだからね。
And you aren't a villain in an old western, got
メイ
it?
ドの土産とか最後に言い残すことはとか
Don't
そんな
grant
ことやっ
last
ちゃダメよ。
requests. Don't take down any final messages. None of this BS. Thank you, Kyrie. Kyrie actually following the rules for playing a villain. She's like, none of this final request bullshit. Just shoot them and get it over with. So we don't get killed or go to jail. Kyrie lifted up her gun again and ran the lever to eject the casing from the round she just killed Goto with. So, still living people, Genji. Kumasawa, and the cousins, as well as Rudolph and Kyrie. Oh, and Nanjo, right? Here. Here. Oh, she's not dead yet? Ava was holding Hideyoshi's body and crying. She hadn't been shot at all. The bullet grazed her head and missed. Okay. Someone fucked up when they shot Ava. She hadn't been playing dead. She really thought she was shot. When Kyrie's gun spat fire, Ava felt something fierce skim past her head before feeling lightheaded and fainting. Well, okay, now we have an answer. This goes very badly. Then she awoke in the now silent room of the gold. The remains of her beloved husband lay beside her, as well as Kraus, Natsuhi, and Rose's corpses. It was a room of death and piled up bodies. When she cried, all she could over Hideyoshi's body, she realized she had something she needed to do. George is in danger. Kyrie fucked up and didn't check the bodies. Actually, no, that was Rudolph's fault. Rudolph checked Ava and didn't verify she was dead. That's Rudolph's fault. Oh well, looks like everybody's dying. Well, it looks like we're going down to Ava or everybody dying. So, about as expected. George. They're trying to use the bomb to blow up everything to bury this island with an explosion accident. Of course, as Ava predicted, the switch on the clock was set to the right, which meant it was active. Ava moved to flip it left and then stopped. That's right, as long as this switch points right, everything that happens disappears in this night of illusions. And this is an illusion. No matter what happens, everything will be muddled and hidden away. Yes, I know, he said it was fortunate he didn't have to check her body. He didn't bother looking at it, he just grabbed the key card from the ground or whatever. That's why I said it's Rudolph's fault, because it was basically his job to check her body, because Kyrie told him to go check it. And all he did was go, "Oh, look, the key card," and left her. No one confirmed any deaths. And it's what it is. Rudolph's not a great villain. They're probably gonna kill everyone else. I mean, that's what you do, Ava, so doesn't surprise me if someone else would try it. Looks like they're gonna be a lot less successful at killing everyone else, though, because they already failed to kill you. And we know you're the psychotic killer already, so alright. Gotta be, I'm sure of it. When she looked at the table with a box of bullets, she saw signs they'd roughly grabbed a bunch of bullets before leaving. It clearly showed they planned to use that many bullets. I have to fight, if only to protect the life of my precious son. The gun that I dropped when I was shot is stuck with the lever open, and no matter how hard I pull, it won't open further and it won't close again. Apparently a bullet's gotten jammed, breaking it. Just as Kyrie said, loading a bullet's tough if you aren't used to it. Please. Dear. Please tell me she dies from blood loss before leaving this room or something. It's gonna be really boring to have Ava just walk off the island with her billion yen. Lend me your strength, lend me your strength. So I can protect George. No, I don't actually want George to survive. I don't really care. In Hideyoshi's hand was Kraus's gun, which he'd been trying to pick up. Ava took it, prayed to her husband one more time, and tugged on the lever handle with a light metallic sound. The golden casing spun in the air and bounced off the ground. I mean, Ava's a good villain, I guess. Because I don't want her to succeed, because she just runs around shooting people and antagonizing people and when she's not killing them. So I guess she works as an alright and consistent villain. Shannon was alright too, but I mean, she kind of just stepped off the stage this round. When she timidly tried to push the lever back, this time it returned to its original place without resistance. There was another metallic clang, the sound of a new bullet being loaded. Cool.
そんなことだろうと思ったわ。
I figured it'd be something like this. I did too, NJ, but now I'm wondering why we're even watching the rest of this, because it feels like it's going to be really boring. It's like, okay, Rudolph's here, Rudolph gets killed, maybe everyone dies, maybe Ava survives. I don't really care, because it's not really a new result or ending. And we've already gone through we've already gone through the motions of what would have been the deciding factors. Like, is Ava alive would have been a deciding factor. She's alive now and armed and has the surprise attack, and we know she's a killer who's willing to kill everyone on the island just for that money. So like, she's not gonna stop. She's just gonna shoot Rudolph and end it. Like, I'd like her to have been dead because it means we might get like an alternative ending that you aren't quite expecting. Like we might see like Jessica or something watch off. Like, it's like while it was there, it was like, oh, a little bit questionable what would happen, and then you see what's happening, you're like, okay, Curie and Rudolph, sure, that's a cool alternate ending. It says what happens if everyone solves it, and then we're like, you know, in theory, one route, what happens when everyone solves it. And if we're going to the same ending, then it's kind of just boring. You don't really want people to be torn between a boring ending and like an okay ending, where you're like, well, at least it's new. That's not really a good way to go into things. I hope they fast forward through this arc now that we've jumped out of it, and like, you know, NJ and Leon have a discussion. That's what I want to see, is NJ and Leon talk about it. They look back and it's like, ah, yes, it seems it's been wrapped up. Okay, well, moving on. Well, I don't know what hints they're supposed to be giving us for this puzzle, but the story itself doesn't particularly have any other interesting changes to give me. Like, I'm just like, okay, I can already see where the story's going. I'm not super... There's no, like, really cool, exciting thing I'm looking forward to in the sub-story right now. So I'm hoping they fast forward.
私にとって一
Someone's
番胸く
scheming.
その悪いゲームを見せて
Someone's scheming to show me the game that had disgusted me the most, just to mock me. In the game so far, various people have been suspected of being the culprit or an accomplice. The only difference was now that Rudolph and Kyrie were those suspects. However, to NJ was the most infuriating plot twist possible. Even Leon was full of painful thoughts. Solving the epitaph was supposed to be the only miracle that could lead to a game without a single victim. Ironically, the tragedy hadn't been averted even so. Does this mean we're not allowed to have a future where all of us happily return from the island alive? Even if the epitaph is miraculously solved before the crime occurs? So why do we think it's being shown to Leon on NJ? Who knows? It's presumably more evidence for whatever is left to solve, which I'm not really sure is left. I presume it's just a way to demonstrate that simply doing this is not the solution if you want to get everyone off the island alive, and that they need to come up with another solution, or one that... So even having the solution to the epitaph, I think that's what the reader is supposed to be being seen, and I think that's what Leon and NJ are being shown. It's like, okay, simply giving everyone the epitaph instantly, no effort, is not a solution to getting off the island. You need to come up with a better one. And then maybe they'll play another game where everyone gets off the island and everyone lives happily ever after, as episode 8 or something. Which, since we can now do 2 games, it might also be episode 8 Tea Party. A miracle certainly won't occur. Those words, which I heard of in one of the fragments Berncastel showed me, raced through my mind. Someone needs to just take away guns from Ava. In fact, why not just take Ava and throw her in a lockbox? Take Ava, throw her in a lockbox or a locker, and just leave her there for the full 3 days. She'll be fine. And then no one will be dead. So these words, which I heard in one of the fragments Berncastel showed me, raced through my mind.
ベルンカステルさん、
Berncastel
あ
said,
なたは私にこの世界の素晴らしさを教えてくれた。
You showed me how wonderful my world
そ
was.
んなあなたがエンジェを傷つけるためだけに
I don't
こ
want
ん
to
な
believe
物語を
you
紡
created
ぐ
this
とは
tale
信じたくない。
merely to hurt NJ.
ゲームマスターがあなたであることはもう私にも分かっているんです。
By now, even I realize you're the game master
教え
here.
てください。
Please tell me.
どうしてあなたはこんなゲームを私たち
Why are
に見
you
せるん
showing
で
us
す。
this game? Of course, no one answered Leon's muttered question. The game created to mock NJ continued emotionlessly, with more terrible twists that didn't betray anyone's expectations anymore. Oh, are they fast
好
forwarding?
きに最悪のゲームを繰り広げればいい。
Show me whatever terrible game you'd like.
猫箱の中の無限の可能性の中の一つだと言いたいんでしょ。
You're trying to say this is one of the endless possibilities inside the cat box, right?
好きになさいよ、好きに。
Do whatever you
私
want.
は、こんなことではくじけない。
I won't let something like this get to me.
1986年10月5日の真実をいつか必ず暴いてやるんだから。
Someday I'll find out the truth of what happened on October 5th, 1986. After meeting Kyrie in the parlor, Jessica was told the test would be held in the dining room, and she followed Kyrie there.
誰もいねえぜ、キリエおばさん。
There's no one here.
すぐに来るわよ。
Oh, he'll be here
そこ
soon.
に座ってて。
Sit over there. Jessica sat in the chair she'd been offered, looking nervous and agitated. Kyrie was by far the calmer of the two. Kyrie closed the door behind her, revealing the gun that rested behind it. Jessica was facing the other way, so she saw nothing.
キリエおばさんは聞いているんですか？
Did you hear anything about this, Aunt Kyrie?
どんなテストか。
Like what kind of test it is?
ええ、
Yeah.
すぐに終わるわよ。
It'll be over soon.
そうだといいんですけどね。
I hope so. As she complained, Jessica turned her head around and the tip of her nose bumped into the cold metal. Blammo. Uncle Rudolph? Alright, let's see if Rudolph's good enough to kill George. Kill George.
何をするんですか？
後ろから撃つのはどうにも性に合わねえ。
I guess shooting people in the back isn't for me after all. Oh, Rudolph, here we go.
危ないじゃないですか。
What on earth are you doing?
銃口を向けて引き金を引くってのは他に何の真似があるってん
Why
だ。
else did someone point a gun and pull the trigger? Rudolph reloaded rapidly and pulled the trigger again without any sign of hesitation. As the sound of gunfire thundered through the rain, George grabbed at his side and fell to his knees. He's not dead yet.
おかしいね。
That's
やっ
weird.
ぱり狙いより
I
下
guess
に
it really
ずれる
does
ぜ
shoot
こ
low.
の銃。癖がひでえな。
This gun's really got it bad.
誰か助けて。
Wait,
ルドルフお
Rudolph
じ
is...
さんが。
George started stumbling away, clutching his side. His voice as he called for help was weak and thin. In comparison, Rudolph, who stood behind him, looked perfectly calm as he fiddled with his gun and checked the sights.
痛い。
It felt to George as though something had been gouged into his side, so painful he could barely stand and walk. He leaned against the trunk of a tree, and after he crouched down trying to cover his wound, he was no longer able to stand back up. They probably dropped the gun a few times. George didn't have a clue what was going on. However, he felt as though something was wrong this whole time. Of course, it was strange he'd be called out alone to a place like this at a time like this. And yet, how could he have known something was wrong? After all, his own uncle had told him his grandfather was asking him to join the family conference. How could he have suspected?
悪いな、ジョ
Sorry
ー
about
ジ
this,
君。
George.
痛えか？
Hurts, doesn't it? Oh no, he's going on our villain rant.
これなら背後から脳天をズドンとやった方が慈悲があったよな。
Rudolph, you were warned by Kyrie. This is at least an amusing death. If Rudolph gets shot in like the next 2 seconds, at least it'll be a funny death where it's like, you know, man, you got told by Kyrie no villain rants, and here you are villain ranting. Like, you were warned against doing any of this last words, final request, ranting bullshit, and here we are. It hurts, doesn't it? I knew it'd come to this. It would have been kinder to blow your brains out from
何
behind
もわからねえうち
I
に
thought it'd be
ズドン
cruel
じ
to finish you
ゃあ
off
まりに無慈悲かと思
before
っ
you
た
knew
ん
what
だ
hit you.
が
Looks like I got it
どう
backwards.
やら逆だったらしい。
どうして。
Why? Oh no! Oh no! Final request! Why?
ルドルフおじさん。
Why, Rudolph? Because your mother's a psychopath and started shooting everybody. Easy answer.
あんなに
Why would
優しかったお
my
じさん
kind
が
uncle do
して。
this?
このことは忘れろ。
Forget
明日
about
の
it.
夜には全てなかった
By tomorrow night, it will all of it won't have happened. With a quick use of the lever handle, he loaded another bullet. The casing of the bullet that pierced George's side fell heartlessly in front of him.
突然の不幸な事故で
Everyone's dying in a sudden
見
unfortunate
その
accident.
瞬間まで
Wait until that moment.
俺たち親族は仲良くやってた
We'll
の
all
さ
be a big happy family. Yeah,
そうなるんだ。
that's how it's gonna be. Look,
だからこいつ
don't
は
worry about
忘
this.
れる。
Forget it all. Of course, George didn't have a clue what Rudolph was talking about. All he knew was that Rudolph wanted to kill him, and he showed no trace of hesitation. His image of Rudolph as the ideal, cool, joke-loving adult didn't match up with the man standing in front of him holding a gun. Maybe this feels wrong because it fits him too well. He has the same smile as though he's about to tell some hilarious joke, but he's pointing a gun at me. Why would that kind, funny Uncle Rudolph do this? It made him feel unimaginably sad and tears flowed from his eyes. Rudolph is kind in comparison to Kraus and Ava. That is true. I mean, Rudolph isn't actively... He isn't clearly and actively being a dick to everyone for no reason. And everyone doesn't hate him. Same with Hideyoshi, right? Like, Hideyoshi isn't always a dick, he's just super biased towards Ava, who is a complete bitch, so...
あなたのこと
I admired you so much.
憧れてたの。
いつも言ってたろ
Haven't I
ジ
told
ョー
you,
ジ君
George?
俺みたいな大人になっちゃダメだぞって
So, make sure you don't end up as an adult like me.
つまりはそういう
Now you
ことさ
see why. In the next world, make learning how to spot villains your first
ジョージ
priority.
君ならできるさ
I know you can do
何
it.
しろ勤勉なんだから
It's just another kind of studying. He bit down the pain in his side, and with the last of his strength, George threw his whole body into a roundhouse kick. At the same time, fire spat from Rudolph's gun, the bullet pierced George's chest, and he spun around as he fell amidst an outpouring of blood. He moaned wordlessly, clenching blood-stained teeth. A frigid gun pressed harshly against his temple.
やばいよ
So long.
来世でも立派な男に
Become a
な
great
る
man in the
俺
next
みたい
world.
な金に目が
Don't
くら
get
む
blinded
け
by
ど
money like me.
ルドルフおじさ
I
んが
can't believe.
お金で人
My
を
uncle.
殺すなんて
It's okay. You know, I'd just say blame your. If I was Rudolph, I'd just say blame your mother. I'd just say blame your mother.
信じられない
Would kill for money.
純真だ
How
な殺せる
innocent.
んだぜ
People can
金
kill
で
over money.
人は
The ruthless trigger forestalled any further questions. George's hands, which had been covering his wound, dropped lifelessly. When Rudolph saw the last glimmer of life leave him, he sighed deeply and looked tired.
案外こんなもんなんだ
That
な
was easier than I thought. Rudolph looked up at the dark, rainy sky, raindrops hitting him in full in the face, and laughed with an indescribable expression, his tongue
も
hanging
っと
out.
両親が痛むと思ってたぜ
I thought my conscience would bug me
終わ
more.
ってみりゃ
Now that it's over, it's
案
pretty
外
easy.
こんなもんだ
No audio for his giggles? I was kind of hoping we'd see maniacal laughter or audio for his giggles, but it's not actually giving us anything. Too bad. See? Nothing! Nothing! Rudolph laughed. It was probably just the thing Kyrie had hoped for. It had taken considerable effort to kill George. He may have been merciless, but the last traces of a conscience in Rudolph's heart had probably slowed him down. Now that he had killed someone with his own hands, a turning point few people ever reach, Rudolph finally awakened. Now, no, he finally understood.
バカから金を絞り取るのと
It's like squeezing
全く
dough
同じ
out
こ
of
と
a
さ
bunch of morons.
いつもの石取りゲームじゃねえ
The same old game of musical
か目
chairs.
の前に金の山があったら早いもん勝ち
If there's a pile of money in front of you, the first to reach it wins.
遅いやつは蹴落とされて地獄行きってわけさ
The slow ones get kicked down to hell. Haven't I driven dozens of poor fools into debt with my earlier swindles? Several of those probably ended up bankrupt, and some of them might have hung themselves. I always laughed like it was none of my business. And that's all there is to it. The only difference now is that for the first time, I've dealt the final blow with my own hands.
ありがとうよキリ
Thanks, Kyrie.
エいつもお前は俺の心の甘えを断ち切ってくれる
You're always the best at cutting away my naivety. I think you're on it. He doesn't know it, but he's on a ticking clock. That is Ava coming out of the basement right behind him. There's some nice tension there. Well, let's see. Kyrie. Ava doesn't even hesitate to headshot people right to the face. So, like, I'm not thinking she's gonna go on a rant and shoot him. She's probably just gonna shoot him, right? Maybe she'll shoot him maybe she'll shoot him somewhere non-lethal and then rant and then shoot him? I guess we kind of just wonder how he dies, if he dies. Because he kind of needs Kyrie to bail him out. I think that's how they pitched it in the magical scene where the two of them died. Rudolph's evil laugh rang out. The laugh was so purely evil, it was almost soothing. Hypocritical evil that contains some pangs of conscience is far more repulsive to behold. If man's committed to doing great evil anyway, how much more pleasant and gallant is it when he's wholly devoted to his goal? In that sense, Rudolph's evil smile and laugh were pleasant and gallant indeed. Which means the brutal, bloody stage of the dining hall must have been soothing as well. I assume we have a jump cut because we're not going to be at the scene with Rudolph for a minute. A clang. A thud. A crack, a squish. A strange mixture of these sounds kept repeating over and over at the same tempo. Each time a red splash landed on a tablecloth dangling nearby. Jessica-chan, can you hear me? Kyrie asked this with the sort of smile any aunt might make to her niece. However, Jessica didn't answer. There was nothing particularly surprising about this. After all, by now, her nose had been broken, her eyes had been smashed, and her teeth had been knocked out. Not only her nose, but her entire face was now hardly recognizable as a face. I see. It was just a lump of bloody flesh. When Kyrie finally stopped the task of repeatedly smashing Jessica's face with the stock of her gun. Still sitting on top of Jessica, she tossed her gun to the side, pulled a compact out of her pocket, and looked at her own face in the mirror. Then she finally realized that her face was covered by speckles of fresh blood. What? Using the stock is probably the best way not to ruin your gun. At least then you aren't clogging the barrel with blood or anything. That's terrible. These clothes will have to go too. I'm not sure that was strictly necessary, Kyrie, but you know, whatever. With a muffled laugh, Kyrie shakily rose to her feet. Jessica wasn't moving anymore. She had been convulsing a bit until a second ago, but now she was still as stone. Smashing a woman's face is nothing new to your aunt, okay? Sorry about that. If you hadn't resisted, I could have given you a much cleaner death. There we go. You had some quick reflexes, I guess. Kyrie pulled the tablecloth off and used it like a towel to wipe the blood from all over her body. However, instead of taking the blood off, it just smeared it around. It did nothing to remove the stench of blood and death that covered her. When she got tired of rubbing the tablecloth against the blood, Kyrie walked over to the extension line telephone in the corner of the room, and she dialed the number for the cousin room in the guest house. Hello, it's me. It's your turn now, Battler-kun. Go to the spot in front of the chapel, please. That's right. I haven't been given any instructions from Maria-chan. Ever wait there? Yeah, keep your wits about you. I'm rooting for you to be chosen as successor, Battler-kun. With that same smile as usual and the partly wiped splashes of blood still covering her face, Kyrie finished her call to Battler. When she set down the receiver, there was a small knock and Rudolph came back into the room. Wait, Rudolph didn't die? Damn it! I guessed wrong. I was guessing he was gonna bite it. Shit, you didn't die yet. Alright, you look like shit. Jessica-chan has better reflexes than I gave her credit for. I didn't think she'd be able to fight back from a situation like that. It's a bit of a shame she had to end up looking like this. Guess Ava was knocked out for a rather long time. Possibly either that or she had decided not to take the shot. Either they were really fast or maybe she decided not to take the shot as she didn't know if Kyrie was covering him. Like it might have been, you know, Kyrie hiding in the bushes, making sure George doesn't get away. And so Ava might have thought, okay, if I save George by firing, I just get a headshot from Kyrie, so I need to find out where the other one is. Because they're both teamed up. That might be the way she's thinking. She's like, they might be together. That might be her line of thought. We'll see. Or maybe she's just waiting in ambush. Maybe she decided not to go upstairs and just decided to wait in ambush. Right? That could be the plan. Wait in ambush. They come down the stairs. Blam, blam, blam. Or they try to... Or maybe she finds... You think Ava would let George die? Probably not. But it's hard to tell as she managed to do it in her own arc. I mean, we don't know the exact scenario, but it seems like she just got him killed anyway, so I don't actually know how much she cares. She's done some crying and weeping out over George, but I don't know if it's regret over her poor decisions for killing him, or if he made her kill him, or what happened, because we don't know that. So I'm like only mid on whether or not she lets him live. I mean, I'll just say anyone who's like, what, twice in a row now been like totally down to just shoot their family members for money, and be the first to do so, probably doesn't care that much. Like, they might care about George, but last time they got George killed anyways, so if they shot George, like, I don't know if they shot George last time, but if they shot George last time, then I don't think they care. Right, or they care about themselves more than they care about George, and it was a him or me, and they picked themselves, right? Like, it's one of those two. Either they don't care that much, or it's just like or it was a him or me, and they choose themselves. And in that, if it's a him or me and they choose themselves, then she probably wouldn't expose herself to try and save George. I don't actually know if Ava can actually do anything like altruistic or heroic, because we haven't seen that part of her. We've seen the results of some of her actions, but we haven't actually seen if she's capable of something like that. One second. Okay. Yeah, a bit of a shame she had to end up looking like that.
夏日姉さんにのいい女が台無しだぜ。
What a waste of a good Nazi-esque woman.
そっちは
And what about your end?
手こずらなかった？
Did he give you much trouble?
問題なしだ。
No problems here.
ちょろいもんさ。
Plain and simple. When Kyria heard Rudolph's instant response, she favored him with evil smile. Yes, the man she loved was the sort who could do it if he tried, without letting cheap emotions get in the way.
愛してるわ、ルドルフさん。
I love you, Rudolph.
そうでなくっちゃ。
I wouldn't have it any other
こ
way.
れで日当が10億出るならちょろい仕事じゃねえか。
Hard to imagine an easier job to net you a billion
親
yen.
父がよく言ってたぜ。
Like Dad said,
男は人生で一度人を殺す覚悟を持って臨む日が訪れるってね。
in the life of every man, there comes a day when he has to be willing to
常
kill.
に相手を殺してでも生き残る覚悟を持って。
In other words, always be determined to survive, even if you have to kill to do
お
it.
父様の言葉の中で
That's my favorite
一
line
番
of
好
his.
きな言葉よ。
お次はどうする？
What's next?
俺のライフルは血を求めてるぜ。
My rifle's hungry for blood.
次は大仕事よ。
You got a big
バ
job
ト
coming
ラ
up.
君の説得。
Convincing Battler Kun.
おっと、
Oh, that's
こい
right.
つは面倒だ。
That'll be a
引き
pain.
金引かずに終わりたいもんだ。
Hope I don't have to end it by pulling the trigger.
私は気に入ってるのよ。
I really
エンジェ
enjoyed
との3人家族の生活。
life as a three-person family with
で
Enjin.
も、どうしてもそれにバトラ君を加えたいというなら、頑張ってね。
But if you really want Battler Kun to join in on that, well, give it your best.
おう、
Sure, sure.
グーの音も言わせねえつもりだ。
I'll make sure we don't have any complaints from him.
大丈夫。うまく騙すシナリオも用意してる
Don't
さ。
worry. I worked out a scenario to trick him good.
頑張ってね。
Good luck.
私もできることなら、エンジェの大好きなお兄ちゃんが爆発事故に巻き込まれないことを願ってるわ。
Even I hope that NJ's beloved big brother doesn't get caught up in the explosion accident.
わかってるさ。
I know.
じゃ、俺は礼拝堂に戻るぜ。
Then I'll head back to the chapel.
ルドルフさん、
Rudolph-san?
なんだ？
What?
バトラ君が納得しなかったら
If you can't convince Battler Kun.
わかってる。
I know. I know.
その時はズドンだ。
That happens. Bang.
バトラ君は私との再婚に抗議して家を飛び出すくらいに行動力のある子よ。
He's independent enough that he left the family out of protest when I married, do you
中
remember?
途半端な丸め込み方で後日にいろいろと騒がれたら
If you could only convince him halfway, and if things get nasty later on,
彼は私たちの命取りになるのよ。
he'll prove fatal to us.
分かってる
I know.
俺を信じろ
Believe me. You think the fastest way to convince Battler is to say someone snuck onto the island and started killing people and to hide somewhere safe?
もし
And if
バトラ君が不信感を持ってると私
if
が
I
判
decide
断
Battler's
したな
growing
ら
suspicious,
その時は
I'll kill him
私の手
myself.
で殺すわよ。私の子供じゃないんだから。
He's not my kid after all. This is where Rudolph's like, actually, he's not awesome, his kid.
あ
Just so you know. Tell Battler a waste. No, small bombs. Tell Battler that someone fed them very small bombs. He'll believe it.
分かってるだからキリエ
Okay, so-
一つだけ
Promise me one thing, Kyrie.
何？
What's that?
もしバトラーをうまく丸め込めて島から3人で出られたら
If I can trick Battler and the three of us make it off this island.
出られたら？
If that happens, what?
バトラのことを二度と私の子供じゃないみたいなことを言うな
Never say Battler isn't your kid
お前
again.
は母なんだから
After all, you're his mother.
頼む
Please.
いいわ。
Sure.
約束してあげ
I
る。
promise. Kyrie shrugged and answered as she loaded bullets.
あなたは礼拝堂へ。
You go to the chapel?
私はバトラ君が出て行った頃を見計らってゲストハウスの連中をすべて片付け
I'll
る。
wait until Badlerkins left and then clean up everything inside the guest house.
大丈夫か一人で
You sure you're gonna be okay doing that alone?
そっちこそ。
That's my line. Okay, what do you do? If you're gonna take him through Kuadorian, what do you want to trick him with? The mysterious killer? You could also say Ava went fucking crazy. I mean, I would say so. I mean, my effective idea is that you always want to start with the truth, and then you mislead people with the exact details. You say something like, Ava went fucking crazy over the... We found the gold, we solved the riddle, we were arguing over what to do with it. Ava went fucking crazy and started shooting people. Because there were guns in the room. Ava went crazy, started shooting people. We got into a shootout. We got the fuck out of there. We got the fuck out. We tried to get the fuck out of there. And then, like, here's the problem. So, like, the problem is, I don't know where you go with the next part of the story, because that would have been a really good start. But then they lured George over to the chapel, and Battler knows that it was Rudolph that called. So, it's like, why would you send George there? Like, how do you explain that part? And maybe he explains it by saying, like, we lured him out there to kill him so that he couldn't team up with Ava and fucking kill the rest of us, but, like, Ava's dead. So that they don't really, like, they think Ava's dead, so they don't really have an explanation for that. Maybe they were thinking that, like, George would do the same thing, so they lured him out and killed him. And then what did they do with Jessica? I don't fucking know. Like, your explanation is, like, really sketchy if you want to appear like the good guy. So maybe he tries to convince Ballard to be, like, a bad guy? The mysterious killer might actually be a better option than trying to start with the truth there. Maybe you start with, went into a shootout and we decided to just take the gold for ourselves, because if everyone's going to start killing us for it, fuck it, we'll just kill everyone else and leave with the gold. Maybe that's the answer. You say something like, okay, well, we got down there. Ava went crazy, started shooting people. Hideyoshi killed Kraus. Ava kills Natsuhi. Hideyoshi killed Kraus. We pulled our guns, shot everyone else, and are just, like, gonna blow up. We're just gonna fucking escape and blow up the whole island. Maybe that's the plan. A short-term prediction, but an okay idea if we're coming up with solutions of, like, what to tell him. I think that one works. It kind of relies on him being a little bit amoral, but... Or at least, like, less than caring about the rest of his family, but... It sort of works. You're just like... Dude, like... I don't know who to fucking trust anymore. They started shooting us, so we just shot back and ran. We shot back, we ran, and we don't trust the rest of them anymore, because if their plan was to kill all of us, we don't know if they were planning on killing you, so we brought them out, shot them, and moved on. Like, we lured him out as quickly as we can, because we're like, we don't know if George is planning on killing everyone, we don't know if Ava told them about the gold, or has the plan. Like, we don't know any of this. Maybe you're trying to act like you don't know enough. I don't know if that would work, though. Battler seems... The problem is Battler doesn't really trust Rudolph, so I think, like, most of your plans are going to be really, really sketchy. Battler left the guest house under an umbrella. He'd been called to the area in front of the chapel just like George had been, and not even 30 minutes had passed since the time George and Jessica had been called out. Apparently this test didn't last too long. Damn
ク
geezer.
ソじじいめ。昼飯にさえ姿を出さなかったくせに。
First you never come
引
out,
きこもり生活で昼夜が逆転してやがるに違い
then
ね
you show up in the middle of the night with a test. Because remember, whenever you're making an argument, you have to make the assumption that Ava is dead, because they don't know that Ava's alive. So, like, I could say, so it's like, saying, like, the mysterious hunter is out there killing people and we need to escape the fucking island before everyone dies, is, like, a great idea if you know there's someone else out there, like Ava, but it's not a great idea if you don't know that's around. Well, it might work, but if no one else dies, but it's really iffy, because then you're like, why are you calling people out there? Alright, you show up in the middle of the night for a
引
test?
きこもり生活で昼夜が逆転してやがるに違いね
I'll bet living as a shut-in's got his sense of night and day all backwards, and who cares? Now I'm feeling attacked by Battler, thanks Battler. Complaining all the way, Battler strolled off into the rain and almost immediately was swallowed up by the darkness of the rose garden and passed out of sight. And then, Kyrie could be seen coming from the darkness of the rose garden. Her right hand held a gun, her left an umbrella. Her inner pocket contained the master key ring she'd stolen from Goda, and her right pocket had a handful of bullets. Her left held a knife as she had taken from the kitchen, and she was a carefully and perfectly outfitted murderer. Another bolt of lightning struck down from the swirling skies. It lit up only half of Kyrie's face. You know what would be funny if Ava just wanted to say fuck you to all of them? Would be to, like, disable the clock and then just break it, and then leave, and be like, well, the island's not blowing up now, what do you do? That would be the scorched earth strategy for Ava, right? She says that, and then she just says, like, she goes out in the rain for a bit. She tries to save George, she saves George, and just says, those crazy sons of bitches killed everybody. Ava wins. Of course, she has to last 24 hours in Kuidorian without getting killed, but that is a solution I think you could take if you can somehow save George. Or if she thinks. She's like, sabotage them. They're going on killing people. Unless the mechanism blows up the island if the clock breaks, we have not been given that information. The mechanism has only been explained as a left-right switch. Destroying the mechanism presumably does not change the setting. I would also assume that even though this is not likely true, that leaving the setting on and then breaking it would also work. Would I test that? No, but for plot reasons, that's what I would assume. Because that's the, that's like, what is it, the rules of devices for, Nox's rules, right? Like, you can't use devices that haven't been introduced, so the only thing you can say is it has an on and an off. You could maybe say you can break it, but you can't say that breaking it caused it to explode because you don't know that. Like, it hasn't been introduced as being a thing. And the way it's wired does not make sense for that. Like, presumably, like, the way the switch is set up is that at midnight, whenever the clock strikes midnight, like, it's in a correct alignment to complete a circuit, right? And the completed circuit sends an electrical signal to all the bombs, causing it to explode. So breaking it in the off position would mean the clock doesn't tick. So I would even assume that even if it was in the on position, it actually wouldn't explode then. If it's related to the clock. That might be the best assumption. Is that breaking it at any point causes it not to go off. Unless you've tested that there's like a mechanism, unless the clock is actually underground and it's not the physical clock there. Like that's how I'm assuming this is wired. I mean, obviously you wouldn't really want to test that in real life, but that would be an idea of how the circuit would work. Because usually for like explosive wiring, what's happening is that an electrical signal is being sent, and the electrical signal being sent along the wires causes the detonation. It's especially true with like plastic explosives like C4, where C4 is an inert object that requires electrical charge passed through it to explode. Which is why, you know, you can shape it like clay. You can safely shape it however you like it, and then just plug a detonator into it. And then all you need is a method by which to generate an electrical charge, right? But of course, that doesn't quite work the same if they were using like dynamite or whatever. But generally, that's generally how electrical switches work. Anyway, another bolt of lightning. Oh yeah, we already read this about lighting up half Kyrie's face. Her cheek was still covered with Jessica's blood, and under the eaves, Kyrie folded her umbrella, smiled, and spoke to no one.
ただいま、みんな。
Hello, everyone. I'm home. Okay. So I was half expecting Ava to have acted by now, but alright. Rudolph could be seen under the eaves of the chapel. He had hidden his gun in the nearby shadows and was smoking a cigarette.
あの単細胞を騙すなんて
Should be easy to trick that dimwit.
うまくいかなきゃ
It
それだけ
doesn't
の
work.
話
That's
だぜ
just too bad. He glanced over at the place he'd stowed his gun. The cigarette smoke began to pleasantly cloud his mind. Battler isn't a kid anymore. He's an adult who can choose his path through life as he pleases. When animals grow up, it's normal for them to form a group and go on a journey. However, humans are the only ones that keep treating their young like kids, even after they get
こんな
big.
ことなら
I'd noted come
お
to
前
this.
に土下座なんかするんじゃなかったね
I never would have begged for you to come
お
back.
前を連れ戻して後悔してるぜ
I regret dragging you back into the family. He puffed out those words, along with the smoke. When Battler came, he didn't intend to voice those regrets of his. Rudolph was already determined to play the part of the evil murderer who kills for money. He's still not here.
おまだ来ね
What's
えのか
taking him so long? At that moment, he heard the sound of someone stepping on gravel, and he looked up, thinking Battler finally arrived, but the sound came from the opposite direction of the mansion. Rudolph, how could you do that to my husband? Cry me a river, you shot someone else's wife. And you did that just because you did that for no reason. Get out of here, Ava. I don't even feel that sad for you. Your crocodile tears are hot garbage.
姉貴
Aniki, see you're alive.
生きてたのか
Actually, if Battler walks up on this comes out even better for Rudolph. I know it's like a really tense moment where Rudolph has to stall for time, but oh my god, can you imagine? This is like such a good way to bullshit your way through things. You're like, oh my god. Aniki is killing fucking everybody for this gold. This is so good for Rudolph. If Rudolph doesn't die, he's in such a good spot. He doesn't even need to reveal the gun. That's the best part, right? He doesn't need to reveal he even has a gun. He's just like, I had no choice, man. I had no choice. My sister was holding me hostage with a gun. He can just lie and be like, yeah, it is what it is. So you're alive.
残念ね。
Sorry, I'm alive.
生きてたわよ。
Does Ava rant for too long? Because Battler's supposed to be here shortly?
お会いに行くね。
Too bad.
うちの
But my
人はダ
husband
メだ
wasn't so lucky.
よく
How could you? I guess so. It was better than being shot by Ava, I'd say. How could you? Better than being shot by Ava. With a face obscured by anger and tears, Ava slowly walked closer, gun raised. Her husband had been killed right in front of her. She probably wouldn't even hesitate. Realizing that a gun, quivering with anger, was pointed right at his chest, Rudolph backed away, and as he pretended to retreat, he approached the gun he had hidden in the shadows.
お落ち着けよ姉貴
Calm down, Aniki.
その銃を下ろせって
Put the gun
俺だっ
down.
てあんなことを望んだわけじゃない
I never wanted that to
突
happen.
然のことで俺にもどうしようもなかったんだ
There's nothing I could do. Everything happened so fast.
いい加減なことを言わないで。
How can you tell such half-baked lies? As Ava had said, it really had been a half-baked, pointless thing to say. Rudolph would have said anything if he thought it would calm Ava's emotions before she pulled the trigger, which she looked capable of doing at any moment now. Never wanted to happen? I don't know. I'm iffy on that one. Because I can say Rudolph's probably the kind of person who'd take advantage of a situation, but I don't know if he actually would have shot anyone yet. Well, I don't know if he would have started by shooting people. I mean, even though it said, like, in, like, from the third person perspective that, like, ooh, once the gold was there and the money was there, it was, like, inevitable, like, it doesn't necessarily mean anyone's gonna do it. I think Rudolph might just be an opportunist, so he sees the opportunity when it's like, oh, we're shooting people now. Okay, I can deal. Like that, I feel like that's what Rudolph is. He's like a He's like an opportunist. He's preying on moments of weakness. That's why he's a scammer, right? It's like, yeah, someone didn't notice this, I'll exploit this weakness. But he's not gonna... I don't know if he's the person who'd actually just start shooting people randomly if no one else was doing it. Since I don't think he's actually threatened to shoot anyone in the previous... I might be wrong, but I think in none of the previous arcs he's actually threatened to shoot anyone. It's usually like Natsuhi Eva or generating some friction. Rudolph is an opportunist. I don't think he's the kind of person who's going to like immediately start something and get 10 people on his ass. Yeah. Rudolph would have said anything if he thought it would calm Ava's emotions before she pulled the trigger, which she looked capable of doing at any moment now. And then Rudolph's foot came in contact with his gun. Let's just talk this over. George Kun should be here soon. George, over here! Rudolph waved as though George was coming from behind Ava. Let Ava's attention turn in that direction, idiot. My simple big sister's always been a sucker. Gunfire. And then a bit later, the sound of something heavier than rain drip dropping onto the cobblestone. Rudolph. I've always been able to see through your tricks. The bullet Ava fired went straight into Rudolph's chest. The bullet Rudolph fired at Ava missed, landing near her feet. Guess I was right. This gun. Just shoot low. He dropped the gun into a puddle with a splash, staggered backwards, and leaned against the wall of the chapel. Ah, that's not it. All good westerns end with the bad guy's bullet missing. Ava dashed up to him, kicked away the gun that fell into a puddle, and grabbed Rudolph by the collar. What about George? Sorry, Aniki. Already got him. Liar. See it in the bushes over there. Take a look. You'll see soon. Rudolph. Ava, who claimed to know all of her little brother's tricks, also knew Rudolph's final words as his consciousness began to fade thanks to the bullet wound were not a lie. How could you, George? Sorry, Ava, you deserve those. An empty shell casing bounced off the cobblestone. The furious... Holy hell, that's a long ass... O? Was it O? I'm not sure what letter that was. The furious gun with barrel was pressed against Rudolph's forehead. Go ahead and shoot. I doubt it'll bring you peace, though. Blam. A bolt of lightning turned everything white. However, the wall of the chapel was stained blood red. A red splash, like a crushed tomato, came out of the back of Rudolph's head and covered the wall. And leaving a trail of red behind him, Rudolph staggered downwards, sat on the ground, and fell over. Okay, where's Battler? Come on, Battler. I want you to show up and ruin Ava's day. That would be funny, at least. That's the ending I'd like to see right now, is Kyrie and Battler get out. Or just Battler, that would work. I don't want to hear any more of Ava's whining. Fuck off, Ava. I have literally zero sympathy for Ava. Ava dashed off into the bushes. She found George's corpse. Gods, shut the fuck up! I hate this wailing from her. Seriously. I'm gonna mute the fucking game if she wails again. She found George's corpse almost immediately, screamed and broke down sobbing. Okay, cry me river. Rudolph's bloody corpse was exposed to the rain that ran off the eaves. His eyes were still wide open. A fist-sized, flesh-covered hole was open in the back of his head, and his insides were exposed to the open air. Inside was a mix of flesh, brains, and spinal fluid. The goop, which looked like someone had mixed it up with a spoon, dripped from his eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and the hole in his head. And she's sad. I'm feeling sorry. I'm feeling like middlingly sorry for Rudolph, because again, I mean, he's not a great guy, but he's in an interesting situation. Because I'm pretty sure if I was there too, I would have shot Ava and Hideyoshi at the very least. And possibly Rosa. If I was in his situation. And I didn't need Kiria to do that. I'd just be like, fuck, this chick's gonna kill me. I would have just been like, fuck, this crazy Ava chick's gonna... This Ava and Hideyoshi duo are just gonna kill everyone and say it was an accident. I don't want to be the fucking dead man. Like, right? I mean, so I only feel like moderate. I feel a little bit bad for him dying, but it's also like, I don't know if I needed to kill everyone else, though. That plan's a little bit iffier. But I can understand how they're trying to figure out a way to get George off the island. If they were just like, okay. So if they didn't care about Battler, trying to get Battler off the island. If they didn't care about Battler, would they have just set the bomb to explode, went to bed? Like, if they didn't care about getting Battler, would they have just set the bomb to explode, went to bed, woke up, and then at like 10 p.m. or like in the morning just like went and hid at Kuidorian? Like, that might have been a viable option, right? Like, they go hide at Kuidorian, the island explodes, everybody dies, they move on. And they're like, yeah, we found the secret to the gold, we didn't... I mean, you do something like, oh yeah, we found a hidden room with a puzzle, we thought it led to the gold, it didn't lead to the gold, it led to this hidden mansion, which we think is the wife of our mistress. Actually, why didn't fucking Ava use that as the excuse? It was wired to explode if someone opened it. Or some shit. Like, we went to the island and fucking everything exploded on the other place. We were like, what the fuck? That would have been an okay argument, even though it may not have held up under, like, a fucking lie detector. You could have just said, like, we went to Kuidorian. We found the solution. We were looking it up. We went to Kuidorian. Like, we literally just found this hidden island, and then everything exploded behind us, and we were like, what the fuck? That's an okay argument to just be like, yeah, the island fucking exploded. Like, we didn't know what happened. I feel like that's an okay argument, too. It was rigged. The entire island was rigged to explode except for Kuidorian if in the event something came back. Wear a nail in your shoe when taking the test? Nah. I don't know if they have to take lie detector tests. Anyway. But I mean, I don't think they would have to sit under a lie detector anyway, because it'd be like, oh yes, did you bring any explosives to the island? Fuck no, I'm not an idiot. Why would I try to kill everyone? Easy. Like, they have to specifically ask if you, like, brought explosives. Maybe you could say, did you blow things up? And you can say, yeah, I might have blown things up. I might have blown things up. Or even say, yeah, I think it's my fault that everyone died. Because that would be true. You did kill everyone. You're like, I think it's my fault everyone died. Did you bring the explosives? No. Did you wire the explosives? No. Did you trigger the explosives? I think I might have. And you're like, yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Like, oh, what makes you think it? And you're like, well, I went to Kuidorian. You're like, I found it. I think it was in the hidden compartment. It was in the hidden compartment. I'm pretty sure. Because we've been to this island multiple times and nothing bad's ever happened. I think that's mostly true. It's like, were you aware that it might explode? And you were like, I was told there were bombs there. Absolute truth. You were told there were bombs there that day while I was in the room. Maybe you could buy. I don't know. Because they wouldn't be right. They wouldn't be asking about shooting people, right? They'd be asking about the explosion. They'd be asking about the explosion, and since you didn't bring the explosives, and you're like, yeah, I think it was rumored to reflect. Like, you might be able to get away with it even if you told the straight up truth the whole time, because they wouldn't ever ask you questions about like the other people getting shot. All right. NJ clutched at her head, sobbing and moaning. Her father had dirtied his hands with murder over money, and on top of that, faced such a cruel end, NJ had been forced to see his corpse. It was hard to imagine a more painful experience for her daughter to go through. I'm totally fed up with this. It's completely meaningless. I mean, it's at this point, it's mostly meaningless, honestly. Once people started getting shot, it lost most of its meaning, because it's just a scene playing out and you're not really learning anything new.
ベルンカステルさん、
It's like the at the magic scenes at this point where you're like, okay, are they gonna reveal something new? And they haven't yet since the murders occurred. I mean, I'm still watching, but
いるんでしょうどこかに。
I know you're here
もう
somewhere.
このゲームを
Make
やめ
this
てく
game
ださい。
stop. No, this is how the games usually go, Leon. I don't think you understand,
何
Leon.
の意味もない。
There's no point to it? No, there is a point. The point was already made five five scenes ago though. As if in answer to the yellow, black shadow appeared a few seats in front of them. Or perhaps she was sitting there the whole time. Maybe we just couldn't see her until we were aware of her. It was without a doubt the back of Berncastel's head.
ベルンカステルさん。
Berncastel-san.
うるさいわよ。
Pipe down back
静
there.
かに鑑賞できないの？
Can't you watch the show quietly? The witch turned around with bored eyes, as though the two people yelling were the strange ones.
もうやめてください。
Please stop this. Leon, you just got given fact. You haven't actually seen one. This is normally how people's reactions to these go. Either battlers or NJs.
この世界が10月4日から5日の間の
We
閉ざさ
realize
れた
this
猫
is the
箱の世
sealed
界だという
Catbox
こと
world
を
of October 4th
私
and
たちも
5th.
理解しています。
The games are like messages, or maybe more like roundabout love letters. A single message can be conveyed over several games, but now we understand. We know the endless tales that can seep out of the sealed 2-day cat box. Beyond that, I even know the culprit and the motive. It's already been revealed and doesn't even have anything to do with the game.
猫箱の物語という回を私たちは2
Both
人と
know
も
the
得ているんで
answer.
す。
This is the cat box
だから
tale.
これ以上このようなゲームを繰り返す理由
There
はない
shouldn't
はず
be
で
a
す。
need for any further games. I think there could be a need for one more game.
もしこれがあなたと私たちのゲームだというなら私たちはすでに答えを得ている。
I don't think you know the answer. If this is supposed to be the game between you and us, we already know the
ゲーム
answer.
は終了していいはずです。
The game should be over.
うっさいわよあんた。
Shut up already.
静かにしろってベルンが言ってんでしょ。
Did you hear Burn tell you to be quiet? Another shadow appeared in the next seat over, turned around and scolded the pair.
意味ならあるわよ。
There's a
見
point.
てればわかるわ。
If you watch, you'll see it.
ゲームマスターは
Are you the
あ
game
なたですか？
master?
違うわよ。
Not at all.
では誰が？
Then who is
ま
it?
さかクレルが？
Could it be Claire?
見ていればわかるわ。
If you watch, you'll see.
すぐにね。
Not much longer now.
もう惨劇もクライマックスだわ。
The tragedy's already reached its
生
climax.
き残るのはどっち
Who
か
will
しら。
survive, I wonder? Berncastel isn't the game master? Then who is? Could Claire have weaved this? It's a theater. There's a decent chance Featherine's doing this one. Try and find a solution that everyone lives in for her own amusement, perhaps? Are there even more witches playing around in this cat box? We probably shouldn't assume that it's someone we haven't been introduced to. That said, the stage was introduced by Claire, so that's not a bad guess either. The guest house was wrapped in silence. There were no sounds, no trace of anyone's presence, no breathing from anyone alive. There wasn't anything to be heard anymore. If anything could be heard, it was the sound of the murderer's feet stepping across the floor. Kyrie slowly passed through the lounge. In her right hand was a gun, in her left a knife. The knife was stained with blood, and some was still dripping from the tip, leaving behind red tracks like a demon's footprints. Her hands were filled with tools of murder, so she wasn't capable of doing anything but murder. In that sense, at that moment, she was clearly and purely a murderer. The murderer went to the entrance hall, and then only after reaching the front door looked down to see the two blood-stained hands of a killer. They gripped the tools of death that had performed a cruel massacre. And at last, the murderer realized it wouldn't be possible to open the door like this and tossed aside the knife. Then the murderer reached out to the door, turned around calmly, and spoke.
ごめんね。
Sorry,
みんな
everyone.
でも安心して、
Don't worry.
数日後新聞は不幸な事故を掲載するわ。
A few days later, the newspapers will be talking about an
そ
unfortunate
してあな
accident.
たたちは事故の瞬間まで何も知らずに楽しく過ごしてい
I'm
た
sure
に
the
違い
news
ない
shows,
と
the papers, the
新
rumor
聞も
monger.
ニュースも噂する人々も言うでしょうね。
Everywhere will be sure you spent your time in happy ignorance until the instant of the
それは
accident.
つまりあなたたちは10月5日の24時まで楽しく過ごしてい
In
た
other
という
words, you'll all have had a good time until midnight October 5th. So said the one who'd stained that bloody guest house red.
この時間には
Alright, she has to kill
いとこ
Nanjo.
同士で楽しくはし
Forgot
ゃい
that
で
one.
夜更かしをしている。
At this hour, the cousins are all staying up late and playing
そして
around.
朝が早い使用人の人は高いび
The
き。
servants who have to get up early are all snoring.
遅番の人は日誌でも書いて、あるいはほっと一息を入れてる頃でしょ
The
うね。
ones on the late shift are probably filling in the log or taking a break about now.
そういうことなの。
That it
こ
is.
こでこうしていると、いとこ部屋での大はしゃぎが聞こえてくるようだわ。
From where I am now, I can hear laughter coming from the cousin room. Humans outside the cat box would probably never understand what Kyrie was saying. Only she, shut inside the box of the explosion accident, could know what it really meant. Outside, the rain poured down heavily. Kyrie almost picked up an umbrella, then stopped as if she just thought of something. Then she started walking out into the rain, not caring at all whether she got wet or not. Did the murderer not want an umbrella to get in the way of her gun? Or was she hoping the rain could act as a shower to get the blood off her? Kyrie stopped walking as though something unexpected caught her attention. This time it was no whim of hers, though. Where the hell is Battler?
うちの人、
Where is Battler jerking off? Yeah, like, he just decided to, like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go somewhere else and just jerk off for 20 minutes. Ava's here now. I guess. Whatever. Battler's a dumbass and doesn't know where the chapel is. How could you? Alright, well, I guess that's what happens when Battler decides to fuck around for 30 minutes. How could you kill my husband? Ava, you, like, literally went around. Kill it. Your plan was literally to kill everyone. Fuck off. You've done that once already. It would have been nice if someone else got the kill, but, alright.
あら、
Oh.
エヴァ姉さん。
It's
ショ
Vanessa.
ックだわ。
It's
あの
surprising.
距離で外してたなんて。
How could I have missed you from that distance?
私も驚いてる
I'm just as
わ。ま
surprised.
さか自分
I
が
didn't think I'd
生
survive.
きてたなんて。
礼拝堂裏の地下階段から戻ってきたの？
You came right here from the underground stairway behind the chapel,
No.
right? In that case,
ええ。
that's right.
礼拝堂の前でルドルフにも会ったわ。
I bumped into Rudolph in front of the chapel.
元気そうだった？
And how was he doing?
ええ。
Just wonderful.
兄弟で久しぶりに。
We managed to have a friendly sibling
語
chat
り合った
for the first time in a while. That's about it, about usual for Eva's. Slightly more intense, but only a little bit.
そう。
I see. That was friendly. I mean, have you ever seen Eva have a chat that was actually friendly with someone?
目立ちたがり屋なのに、ここ一番で頼りない人ね。
He's such a show-off, but unreliable in a tight
や
spot.
っぱり、あの人は私がいないとダメなのね。
Looks like he can't do anything without me after all. After that short exchange of words, Kyria already knew Rudolph had been killed. However, no trace of urgency or panic rose to her face. She just closed her eyes with her usual unconcerned expression. And when she opened them again, she regained her composed smile.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
感謝する
I'm
わ。こ
grateful.
れで、本当に私が全てを独り
This
占
way I
め
really can have everything to myself.
その服の血は何？
What's that blood on your
あ
clothes?
んたゲストハウスから出てきたわ
You
ね。
came into the guest house, didn't
ま
you?
さか。
Don't tell me.
ええ、そうよ。
That's right.
今私、殺人事件の真っ最中なの。
I'm right in the middle of a murder case at the moment.
殺したの？
You killed them?
みんな
All of them?
マリアちゃんまで？
Even Maria-chan? I mean, someone got the ball rolling. I'm not gonna point fingers, but they don't have white hair.
生かして朝を迎える理由がない
There's
の。
no need to let them live until
朝
morning.
になれば騒ぎになって面倒になる。
When morning came, there'd be an uproar, and that would be a
無
pain.
線で島の外に連絡したり、助けを求めたりするかもしれ
He
ない。
might have used a radio to contact someone off the island and
だか
gotten
らこ
help.
れが極めてベスト
This
な
was
の。
clearly the optimal move to take.
チェス盤をひっくり返して考えればね。
If you spin the chessboard around and look at it that way, right?
人でなし。
Monster. Alright.
金に目がくらんで人の命を奪うなんて。
I can't believe you'd be so blinded by greed you'd commit murder. Is this a pot calling the kettle black? This is a pot calling the kettle black. This is quite amusing. Alright. I can't believe you'd be blinded by greed you commit murder, says the person who literally shot someone like 2 minutes. Literally started the killing by killing someone alongside her husband. Yeah, okay, Ava. Like, well, not only do we have a route where you do that, we also have you starting the killing here. Good job. Like, you're saying words that have no meaning. And no weight behind them. All
あ
right.
なただって
You weren't
うまい
doing
こと
too bad
やった
yourself.
わあれは事故よ
It was an accident. Yeah, an accident. Yeah, every single person on the island was an accident.
殺すつも
Okay.
りなんてなかった
I didn't mean to kill it. Dude, no one fucking believes you, Ava. Fuck
あ
off.
んたとは違うの
Unlike you.
違
Mm.
わないわよ
No, just like
もし
me.
銃の暴発が起こらなければあなたたちはいつまでも口論と
If
取
that
っ組み合い
gun
を
didn't
続
go off,
けて
you
い
would
た わ
have kept on arguing and jumping
そ
at
う
each
すれ
other.
ばあなたたちも数手遅れで私と同じ
And the rest of you would have reached the same answer as me, a few steps slower. I appreciate that Carrie is at least being honest. She's like, well, if murder's on the table, I'm gonna murder people, and I'll just come to the conclusion real quick. I mean, that's fine. Practical.
私は
I'm not a
殺人鬼じゃないわ
Ava, you're so funny! Fuck off!
いいえ
Not
な
true.
り損ねただけの
You're just a murderer who didn't get a
エヴァ
chance.
姉さんは暴発に救われ
You
た
got saved by a quote-unquote accidental
あの幸
discharge.
運がなければ
Tell you right now, guns don't accidentally fire themselves. Guns also don't accidentally fire themselves when dropped in real life. Like, you know, theoretically there could be some, like, miracle that happens that causes the gun to fire if you drop it. Like, you know, you drop it and it somehow... But, like, it takes a lot of force to fire. It takes a decent amount of force to pull the trigger, and guns don't randomly fire when they're dropped. But hey, it's a trope. And it probably happens with really, really, really old guns. But I don't think these guns... And I don't think these guns are poorly maintained. They're supposed to be all workable. And even then, it's mostly an excuse for people to shoot people. Alright. Born for that luck. If I hadn't moved before you did,
あなた
then
が
you would have
私
played
の
the
役
same
を
role
や
I'm
って
playing
いた
now. Yeah, except I think Ava's better at it because she doesn't fuck up and not kill anyone.
それだけはあなたがいくら否定しようとも変わらない
The fact won't go away.
異なる未来の
No matter how much you
真
try to deny, it's the truth of a different future.
実わけのわからないこと言
Don't
わ
try
ない
and
で
confuse me. I don't want to hear Ava's nonsense. On the inside, Ava understood. Back then, she was saved by the accidental discharge, a coincidence. The argument continued longer. She surely would have grown a desire to kill Kraus and the others and might have carried it out. She simply couldn't deny the existence of the demon deep within her heart. Only the theater goers knew. They knew she could be a killer in another world. And in fact, she'd do it without anyone else threatening her the gold. That's the best part. She didn't even need everyone there or threatening her for the gold. She just needed to have the gold and she'd kill everyone. Kirei, who didn't have the theater-going ability, knew this fact as well. Maybe there really was something extraordinary about her after all. For some time, Ava could only grind her teeth in silence, still pointing her gun. I still don't know where Battler is. Why is Battler not... I don't
あな
understand.
たも自分のお腹を痛めて子を産んだ経験を持つ
You're also a mother. You felt the pain of giving birth to your own child. How can you not know how precious life is? Shut up, Ava. I don't want to hear it. Okay.
勝手にできる
I'm so bored of Ava's self-righteous ranting when she's literally like the killer in another game and shot someone 5 minutes ago. It's like the most bullshit shit. It's like the most bullshit you've ever read where you're like, oh, I can't believe it shoots someone. It's like, fuck off, lady. You literally shot someone 5 minutes ago starting this mess. That's the thing about kids. If you just sleep around, they get made all by themselves.
そういう話じゃないでしょ
That what I'm talking? Don't want to hear it. They say children are bonds, right?
それが何子は夫をつなぎ止めておくためのかすがいなのよ
Children are bonds used to tie you to your
ルド
husband.
ルフさんに私のことを認めさせあの女から彼を取り戻すためのかすがいだった
She was the bond to make Rudolph-san acknowledge me so I could take him back from that woman.
でもルドルフさんはあなたが殺したわ
But you killed Rudolph-san
だ
now?
ったら
You know what that means, right?
わかるでしょわかるって
What do you mean?
どういう意味
I understand.
私はもう
Just that right now,
誰かの妻でもないし母のつもりもないということよ
I'm the wife of no man and have no intention of being a mother.
私は
I'm
私
me.
キリエ
Curious.
ルドルフさんが死んだ今後ろ宮でさえないわ
And now that Rudolph-san's dead, I'm not even in Ushiramiya anymore.
私は私の得になるように
I
生
live
き
to
る
benefit me.
そうねルドルフは死んで
Rudolph's dead. Maybe you aren't a wife anymore.
エンジェちゃんがいるでしょ
But you still have NJ-chan, don't you?
あんたはまだ母であり続ける
You're
はず
still a
よ
mother, aren't you?
言ったでしょか
Didn't
す
you hear what I said about bonds?
ルドルフさんがいなくなった今 エンジェは私にとって
Now that Rudolph's gone,
必要なもの
NJ's
じゃない
of no use to me.
それが
How can any mother say that about their own daughter?
母親が子に対して言うことなの
I mean, does this just mean there's only two possible outcomes for this game? The one outcome is Ava survives, the other is nobody survives? Or does Ava just always survive? Alright,
ネバネ
Ava Nason, let's put a stop to this. We can be honest here.
きれいごと
Did either of us marry because we wanted
違う
children?
でしょ
We didn't,
好
right?
きな男と一緒に暮らしたいから結婚したんでしょ
Married because we wanted to live with the man
そ
we
して
love?
結婚したんならその男を一生手放したくないと思うでしょ
I thought Ava married because she was trying to get a child heir first. I think Kyrie actually doesn't know this one. Okay. We married because we wanted to live with the man we loved, and once you're married, you never want to let them go for the rest of your life, correct?
子供はそのための武器じゃない
Children are just weapons to be used for that goal?
そんなこと考えて子供作ったり
I
なん
never
か
have a
しない
children for
わ
reasons
よ
for that. Okay, that one's a straight up lie. Ava's like a massive hypocrite. Hang on. I think Ava's the least likable person in this story, and we have Beatrice, we have Lambda Delta who makes NJ burgers, and Beatrice who makes a looping game where someone's family gets repeatedly killed and then forces them to play a game with her. And somehow Ava's the worst person in this story. It's so weird. Like, you would have thought people who kill for their amusement are the worst people, but Ava's not only as bad as them, but she's also a massive hypocrite on top of all of that. Yes, she had George specifically to scheme for the Ashiramiya successorship. The only reason George exists is to fulfill her wishes. And anything beyond that, he doesn't need to exist for. And we even had that reinforced in, like, what was that, like, Arc 4, Arc 5, where, no, it was, which arc was that? Was that Arc 5, Arc 6? I don't remember which arc that was. The arc where George and, I think that's Arc 6, right? No, it's Arc 5, because Battler came to control everything, right? Yeah. The one where George supposedly killed Ava. The one where George supposedly killed Ava is the one where she's like claims she'd rather kill him than let him do anything with his life. But she consistently reinforces, even if that's not true and that scene wasn't real, she consistently reinforces her own opinion that George doesn't deserve anything other than exactly what she wants. People can have children for just that reason. I mean, that's literally why you had yours, Ava. That's why she's a fucking hypocrite, because she can't admit to any of the things she does. Kyrie kept on speaking emotionlessly, ignoring the falling rain. Her relaxed smile didn't falter for an instant.
エンジェなんてルドルフさんを縛り付けるためのただの鎖
NJ was just a chain I used to tie Rudolph's
あ
onto
るい
me.
は家族ごっこをするための
Or you
子
could
供の役というの
tell her a
か
chess
な
piece. Someone to play the role of the kid in our family drama.
私にとってエンジェはルドルフさんの前で良き母を演じるときに必
Me,
要な
NJ, is
駒な
nothing more than
だ
a
け
piece necessary that I could act the part of the good mother in front of Rudolph's son.
あんたそれをエンジェちゃんの前で言える
Could you say that to NJ-chan's face? I think Kyrie probably could if she wanted to.
さすがに気の毒だから本人には言わないわ
That would be too sad. I won't say it to her
悪
directly.
いお母さんを許してねとでも書いて姿をくらますつもり
I just planned to write her a letter asking her to forgive her bad mother, then vanish from her life.
ローザさんとマリアちゃんを見ればわかるでしょ
You've seen what Rosa-san and Maria-chan are like,
ル
right?
ドルフさんがいない今エンジェなんて私を縛る
Now that
鎖なだ
Rudolph-san's
け
gone, NJ is just a chain tying me down.
私は元のたった一人の切り絵に戻りのん
I'll
び
go back
り
to
と
being
余
just
生を楽し
Kyrie.
むつもりよ
I'll enjoy the rest of my life at my
新
leisure.
しい挑戦
A new life,
新しい人
a new
生
challenge,
ひょっとしたら
maybe
新しい恋もあるか
a
も
new
ね
love. I mean, minus the part where she ditches NJ, this seems perfectly fine. Like, okay, you're allowed to have your opinion that being like, I think you're allowed to have your opinion that like, your kid's not worth it if your husband's gone. I think you're allowed to have your opinion on that. Now, her reasoning behind that, a little bit cold, but okay. And of course, she should probably, I mean, of course she's like really practical, so this kind of makes sense. I kind of find it amusing how well she's stalling. I wonder why she's stalling though. Like, I feel like Kyrie is not just talking for the sake of talking. Is she maybe expecting Battler to do something? Like, Rudolph kind of just, like, stalled to get his gun. Kyrie is stalling, but we don't know why Kyrie is stalling. Is she's hedging her bets? Does she think that Ava is going to let her live? There's no way Ava lets her live. Or maybe there is a chance Ava lets her live. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I feel like she's stalling for a reason, but I'm not sure what the reasoning is yet. I would assume she's stalling for Battler. Or she's stalling to try and get her off guard so she can shoot her herself. But she's probably in a bad position. But it's not clear which of them she's stalling for. If Kyrie loses, she wants someone to take care of NJ. Yeah, but Ava doesn't take care of NJ because Ava's a huge bitch and just tortures people for her own amusement. Because, you know, she's a psychopath. We already know that. Ava's crazy. Ava's crazy and only likes inflicting suffering on people. Like, that's her go-to plan for everything. Like, who pulls the trigger? She claims it's an accident. I don't believe her for a second. I don't believe her for a second because we already know what she does with it when she finds the gold and no one else is there. Is she goes on a killing spree and kills everybody. It's like then she gets NJ and she kills NJ anyway. She torments NJ as hard as she can. And NJ's like, wow, okay, I mean, I guess I could have been better. Like, alright. So like, my conclusion is that no matter what, Ava's terrible. Kyrie is pretty heartless, but I guess she's practical. She's like, okay, this exists for a practical reason. And I'm a self-centered person. My child exists to cement a relationship between me and my husband. If my husband no longer exists, I no longer need to provide for the person who's the bridge between us and an anchor point. I mean, you can say that's not a very good position to have, but it's not like an unsupportable opinion. Because you can say because the arguments for like supporting the child after Rudolph's gone, from her perspective, it's like, what is the argument for that? Like you would have to come up with things, and most of the things you'd come up with are things like, you should care for another person, and she says, I'm a selfish person, I don't care about that. And you're like, okay. You have like a duty to society, and she's like, I don't give a fuck about society. It's like, pretty hard to convince her to do anything. She's like, I'm a Yakuza family. We don't give a fuck about our debts to society. We do whatever the fuck we want. So she has like, I think based on her morality, she can function in a society, and she's also like doesn't have a reason to support NJ. So I can see why she does that. At least she's being honest. Because, like, presumably, she'd actually be a decent mother if Rudolph wasn't dead, right? If Rudolph wasn't dead, she would consistently be a decent mother. Or a decent mother to NJ. For how many ever years she's obligated to. In order to maintain her relationship with Rudolph. And she's going to put her best effort into it, which is probably better than what some people would do, even if it's, like, really heartless. If it's heartless from, like, her perspective, it's probably better than some people would actually do for their real children who actually supposedly care about them or the husband. And I feel like Kyrie, if she thought she could do it, she would probably maintain the relationship indefinitely and put a ton of effort into it. And you call yourself human? And you call yourself NJ-chan's mother?
エンジェなんかしたことじゃないわよ。
Who gives a damn about
あん
NJ?
なクソガキ。
I never
可愛い
liked
と思ったことなんて
that
一
little
度だ
brat.
ってないわよ。
あんたって人は
Get you. She only fired like, what, 2 shots at Rudolph? She's definitely got more ammo left. 3 more.
あなただってもう家族ごっこから解放されたでしょ。
You've been released from your family drama too, haven't you?
謳歌しましょうよ。
Let's sing
女
the
の
praises
自由を
of a woman's freedom.
感謝してほしいわ。ジョージ君も殺してあげたんだか
You should thank me for having George Kuhn killed for you too.
ら。この人でなしが
Monster. Oh, that's a good villain laugh, Kyrie. I like it. I like it. Ava's laugh is creepy. And Ava's laugh is creepy, but this one works pretty well. So the two yells, the sound of gunfire thundered across the rose garden. Battler continued, what? Jerking off in the bathroom for 30 minutes? I don't know what the fuck Battler's doing. Slowly, Ava fell backwards. Oh, sorry, I missed that line. Then she landed in a puddle, scattering countless drops of water across from her. Kyrie spun around as though dancing. Beautiful black rose petals scattered around her, and the petals were a dark red. As they sprayed from her throat, she spun in a circle and slowly crumpled. Conclusion. Ava always survives. Okay. She fell to the ground, sending muddy water flying. The two women had shot and fallen. However, when the thunder roared, only Ava sat back up. Well, that makes things really boring. Ava always survives and always kills everybody? Okay. That's kind of boring. I was kind of hoping for a new event. Damn, man. I was excited, and then this just leads to Ava survives the end every single time. Wow, okay. Did we really need a whole game for that? Seriously? Really? Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have, like, a different outcome, but someone died. At least that would have been interesting to see what happens, and maybe have the possibility of an alternate for future. Even if it was like, I believe no one survives. Even if it was like, you believe no one survives, but like, it would have been good if, it would have been fine if, like, you know, Rudolph dies, Ava dies, the only survivor is Kyrie, and Kyrie just doesn't return, like, she hides away, and never shows back up again, leaving the NJ of her world to think everyone died, or something like that. Like, I would have been okay with that, because that's, like, another alternative. It's like, oh, the actual alternative is everyone dies, no one dies, or Ava lives, Kyrie lives but fucks off, or possibly everyone dies. That would have been interesting. That would have given us, like, a new alternative ending that's still equally bad, but at least interesting. This is kind of lame, because it's just like, okay, Ava always wins. Like, sure, okay, whatever. Go on like this. There's no magic in this one. It feels different in the Lucimus part. There's no magic. There's no magic, except for Ava's plot armor, which is really boring. I was thinking she'd at least be a cool villain where she, like, takes down Rudolph or Kyrie and poses the threat in this arc, but it's kind of just like, okay, she wins. So fine. We get it. Ava's the best character ever. Like, get the fuck off. There's only the magic of gold going around. So Ava always shoots people, Ava always lives, and she goes through this. Okay. So my conclusion is that the survivors are always Ava, unless Ava is explicitly murdered. So that's kind of like is this episode 7 Tea Party? Yes. So the conclusion is that Ava always it's either Ava or nobody lives, and Ava always lives if she's not murdered in, like, the first Twilight, the Twilights. All right. I was thinking it would be possible for, like, everyone at some point to come back alive, possibly, just, like, really obscure arcs. But it looks like it's just Ava consistently. Okay. I'm not really sure that adds anything interesting to the story, though, which is why I don't know why we're reading through this. Like, I haven't felt anything interesting added other than the fact that, like, why are we sitting here? I don't know why I'm sitting through this whole fucking game. The only part of this entire arc that was even remotely interesting was what happens when they all find the gold. And the answer is Ava shoots someone. Which is sure, that's fine. Like, we know Ava's gonna shoot someone. We know Ava's gonna shoot someone when no one else finds the gold, so it's not really all that interesting. Like, okay, Ava shoots someone when people find the gold. Sure, okay. Is there a twist? Like, if everyone finds it, someone else survives? The twist just doesn't exist. It's always Ava that survives. If the gold is found, Ava survives, she kills everyone else. The end. Okay, cool. We can't find the gold. So like finding the gold seems to always lead to Ava killing people. If Ava finds the gold or knows about its existence for real, she always kills everyone. That's kind of the conclusion. And I'm not like super excited by that because it's not really like a cool alternate ending. It's just like the same story we've seen apart from the middle part, which is weird because this is a tea party. The tea party should just tell us a couple simple facts and not take 5 hours for this. Like, I don't know why I'm spending so much time on a simple story of like, if everyone finds the gold, people die. Ava hadn't been shot. Kyrie's intensity made her fall backwards, and the bullet again slipped right past her. Ava cursed her good luck. Ava has hilarious amounts of plot armor, I know. Why couldn't this luck have saved her husband or son? It's fine, you never lose. Die there for NJ-chan's sake as well. You'll be killed in the explosion accident. Till the moment of your death, you worried about the daughter you left behind. Yes, I'll write that in the cut box. Sure. And Kyria heard this, blood dripped from her grinning mouth, and she seemed to say something in response. However, her voice came out only as globs of blood from the hole in her throat, no words. Cool. Mother, oh mom, oh, it's a lie. I mean, obviously we're tormenting NJ, but like, I don't think that's particularly relevant. Like, we know Kyrie is practical, but I don't see how any of this like does anything for us. Like, most of this is just expounding on the stuff we already knew for Kyrie, and I'm not really feeling anything here. NJ, please calm down. It's just a game. Can't be what your mother possibly feels. It is, possibly. Leon is the one with like the best life who always gets the answer. I'd like to see Leon suffer at some point or something like that. But I don't think Leon can ever suffer. Because nothing bad happens in his universe. Or to him. So he's living in like a perfect universe where he's the successor and everyone lives happily ever after, which makes him like completely detached from everything, which is kind of annoying. Do you know what that one is, a streamer? I mean, maybe someone accidentally flips the switch and kills him or some shit, but like, which is, I'm kind of hoping that's how he got here, is that the switch was flipped and he dies. She's a saber face, she'll suffer at some point or other, it's guaranteed. But it's like, Leon, yeah, we know you don't care, Leon, because none of this is attached to you. Like, Leon doesn't have to give a fuck, because nobody, in his world, nobody has died from his perspective, so he doesn't care. Right? Like, if I'm Leon, I'm like, oh, some other timeline me is a killer. Well, that's weird. I'm not a killer, so nobody dies. Okay, so my timeline's fine. And then he moves on. Like, oh, the gold? Yeah, okay, the gold's real. Whatever. There's no epitaph here, so no one has to find the gold in my timeline. So no one will kill themselves. Like, everything that's happened here is just proving that Leon's timeline's even better, so he's even more detached from anyone dying. Like, NJ is attached because her parents are saying things that insult her, and because her family's dying, but you know, Leon doesn't really care because he knows that the only person who's the killer, or the only source of the killing, are things that can't possibly happen because they have to be from him. The only reason people are dying is because there's guns in the epitaph. The epitaph is there because he's not the heir in this setting. Therefore, Leon doesn't care because his family will never die. Unless, like, Kinzo somehow flips the switch or someone, like, fucks up, right? I mean, the Game Master made Aunt Kyrie's piece say, and this is why no one else can be attached. Everyone else is attached because they're, like, various possibilities of what their people are saying, but for Leon, none of this can be possible, so he doesn't give a fuck. Saying that did nothing to calm NJ's sobs. I don't blame her, even if she knows it's a game. She's been forced to see not only her mother's death, but her mother announcing she's the culprit of a mass murder who didn't even love her own daughter. Anyone would sob after hearing that. Berncastel-san, please hurry up and give us a purpose to this game. It's getting really boring, apart from the midway point. I was really hoping they'd fast forward to the end. I said that earlier because I don't feel like there's any value in the rest of these scenes past the people start shooting each other. If they're not going to have any interesting outcomes, then if they're not going to have a new or interesting outcome, then there's not any value to it. It's like, okay, is Kyrie going to survive? That'd be cool. Oh, Kyrie's dead. Okay. If Rudolph survives, that might be cool. Oh, Rudolph's dead. Okay, well, is anyone else left alive? Oh, no one, everyone's dead. Battler! No one gives a fuck about Battler. Alright. Leon, shut up. I don't care what the Game Master is. Stop
こ
this
の
fun
無意
game
味なゲー
now.
ムを終わりにしてください。
When Leon yelled this, the theater suddenly went pitch black, swallowed in darkness. However, it wasn't enough to shock Leon. He continued to yell Berncastel's name into the darkness, telling the witch to stop this game. And a single beam of light shone down upon the stage. It was Claire, the one who appeared for a second right before the scroll game began.
フレル、やはりこれは
You're a game master
あな
after
たが
all.
わからない。
I don't get it.
Don't
Why are
say-
you showing us this? Please, hurry up and give an explanation, because it seems like I'm having a lot of my time wasted in this game. Claire didn't answer. In fact, she looked as though she hadn't even heard. Her eyes were blank, and you couldn't tell what she was looking at. In fact, she was even forgetting to blink. She looked just like a doll. Then another beam of light lit up the side of the stage. Beneath the light stood Berncastel, and at the same moment, though there appeared to be no one in the audience, a thunderous applause rang out. Berncastel raised her right hand in response to the applause, and kept doing so until it died down.
ベルンカステルさん、やはり
Berncastel-san.
あなたがこのゲームの
You
マスタ
are
ーなんです
master
か
of the game after all. She didn't say she wasn't in red.
リオン、
Leon?
私はゲームマスターじゃないと。何
How
度
many
言
times do
え
you
ば
have to
わ
tell you
か
I'm
る
the game
の
master? Until you say it in red, I don't believe you. I actually
Yeah.
do believe her, but
フレルだというのですか。
I actually do believe her that she's not the game master, but she didn't say it in red, so I can accuse her of lying all I want. Are you saying it's... And even then, I can just say I reject your truth and say you are the game master anyway. You saying it's
そ
Claire?
んなはずはない。
It's impossible.
え
Yeah,
そんなはずは
of
も
course it's
ちろんだって
impossible. After
ク
all,
レルは死んだもの。
Claire died.
私たちはその葬儀に立ち会ったはずよ。
We were just conducting her
忘れた？
funeral. Did you forget that?
では、そこに立っている彼女は一体。
And who's standing there?
死体よ。剥
Corpse.
製じゃないわ。
She's not a
だ
mannequin.
からもちろん中身がある。
Of course, she still has her
綺
inside.
麗な姿で隠しているけれど、内側にはドロドロの腹渡が詰まって
She's hiding it under a beautiful exterior, but she's actually packed full of guts. Can we get on with finding out the point? When Berncastel raised her right hand, a light fell out and a black shining scythe appeared there. It was a cold, merciless, and cruel object like something a classic Grim Reaper might hold. Very nice, very nice.
何をする気ですか。
What are you planning on doing?
生きてはそのあがきをめでる。
When they're alive, you can enjoy watching them
死んで
struggle.
は綿をかき出してめでる。
When they're dead, you can enjoy tearing out their
物
guts.
語は二度楽しめるのよ。
Tales are things you can get to enjoy
それ
twice.
が感激の魔女というもの。
That's what it means to be a witch of theater going. Berncastel pressed the blade to the of a reaper's scythe against Claire's stomach and slowly slid it across. Along the line she traced, Claire's dress was sliced open. It was now clear the scythe she held was not a fake one for theatrical use. It was clear what she planned to do next that made her cruel smile so fitting.
エンジェ、
Enche,
私の声が聞こえる？
can you hear me?
聞こえてるわ。
I hear you.
私をクズ肉にしたり、本を読ませてみたり、
You tear me to bits, you make me
今度は
read.
何？
And what next?
この最悪の物語を見せつけて、私を苦しめるわけね。
You show me this worst possible tale to hurt me more?
楽しい？
Is this fun for you? Actually, probably, yeah.
ええ、楽しいでしょうね。
That wasn't even like an insult, NJ. That's actually true.
私も楽しませてもらったわ
Had a
よ。
blast
これ
too.
ぐらいで、私が値を上げると思った。
You think I'd give up after that?
あんたの悪趣味なゲームに、これ以上泣き叫んでなんかやるもんですか。
You think I'll sit around crying any longer because of that disgusting game of yours? Possibly, yes.
あんたも
Both you and
二
Leon?
人とも勘違いを
have the
し
wrong
ているわ
idea.
私は
I'm not
ゲ
the
ー
game
ムマスター
master.
なんかじゃない。この物語も私が紡いだものなんか
This
じゃ
tale
な
is
い。
not one I created.
じゃあ、そこのドレスの女がゲームマスタ
And
ー？
it's that woman in the dress?
いいえ、違います。
No, she isn't.
そんなはずはないんです。
It can't be.
ならゲームマスターは誰です？
Who's the game
誰がこ
master?
の悪趣味な物語を紡いでいるんですか？
Who wove this disgusting tale?
まだわからないの？
You don't understand?
何がわからないというのよ。
What don't we understand?
エンジェ、
NJ?
あなたはわずかな奇跡に全てをかけて身を投げ出してみせたわ。
Benji, you gambled everything on a faint chance of a miracle, throwing yourself
私
forward.
はその勇気に敬意を表して1986年10月4日からの2日間の世界に招いてあげた。
I invited you to October 4th and 5th of 1986 out of respect for your courage.
あなたの目的は何だった？
It's your goal.
家族を連れ戻すこと。
Take your
そ
family
れは
back.
とても難しいことで、奇跡に愛されなければ到底ありえないこと
It
だ。
would be a very difficult thing, and without the blessing of a miracle, a thoroughly impossible
それ
one.
は覚悟していたわね。
You were prepared for that, weren't you?
覚悟の上よ。
Yes, I'm prepared.
そして私はまだお兄ちゃんもお母さんもお父さんも
I
諦
still
めてい
haven't
な
given
い。
up on Oni-chan, Mom and Dad. I mean, if we're just showing different variables that show them failing to succeed, that's fine. I'm just weirded out that it's in a tea party. We had to go through this whole game.
諦めないのは勝手。
Whether or not you give up, it's your choice. I feel like we're so late in the series. We don't really need to do the hint sections anymore, where we see failure routes played out in their entirety. Right? How did Higurashi go? Were we still doing this in Higurashi? I thought in Higurashi 5, 6, 7, 8 were partial solution arcs where we worked out a part of the problem, and then worked out another part of the problem, and then worked out another part of the problem. Was I wrong? I'm pretty sure that's what we did in 5, 6, 7, 8 for Higurashi. That they were just progressively solving the problem. So I'm trying to figure out where the heck we are with the story here, if we're just exploring new possibilities still. And we're going into 8 shortly. Drop NJ into a good fragment. It's likely that there's very few, as Burnt Castell said, you needed a miracle to find a good fragment. How do you give up or not? It's your choice. Like, we've solved not one, but all of the we solved almost every single mystery except for the mystery of how they get off the island alive. But we're going into 8, and they haven't even explored the the options apart from like everyone finding it. This is the first time they've done that. So, I wonder what they do next for next game. Wonder what 8 is.
それはあなたのゲームだもの。
That's your own game after all. Whether or not you give up is
私
your
は
choice.
応援しないし、干渉もし
I
ない。
won't support you. I won't even watch.
あなたという駒を使ったゲームを私はすでに十分楽しんだし、あなたはもう私にとって用のない存在。
I've already enjoyed my fill of games that use the piece you are, so I have no need for you any longer.
せいせいするわね。
Glad to
な
hear
ら
it.
どうして私はここにいるの？
And why am I here?
招待したのはあんたじゃないの。
Aren't you the one who invited me?
そうよ。
Right.
招待したのは
I
私。
invited you here
私の駒としてひとときを楽しませてくれた。
To thank you
So
for
no
entertaining
way.
me for a while. As my piece.
俺？
To thank me?
魔女式のってわけね。
So this is how we just show gratitude? I mean, I mostly feel like I'm not learning too much interesting stuff, and a lot of my time is being spent reading. I don't actually mind what Burncastle is doing, whether it's good or bad, right? My opinion is like, Burncastle isn't exactly a nice person most of the time, so her being like her like tormenting someone for her amusement is kind of like par for the course, where you're kind of just like, oh, it seems fair. That's something she'd do. Alright, this is how.
楽しませてもらったわよ、この下道が。
Sure, this has been loads of fun, you bees. Oh, someone's not happy. Again, my biggest surprise is like how much time I'm spending in this tea party, but it's okay. I'm not sure if maybe Arc 7 was a little bit short, so they decided to expand the tea party a lot. Maybe that's what they did. Or they're like, wow, Arc 7's really short, let's make the tea party a whole game. Because we want to fit 2 games in. Maybe that's how we're doing things, and I should think of this instead as part 7, where we're just demonstrating that this doesn't work. I think I'll do that instead of complaining. Where this is actually part of part 7 proper instead of a tea party. Because they've done that, I think they did it in a couple of the previous chapters, like 5 and 6, where it's really been just a continuation of the chapter where the tea party tag is kind of meaningless. I think that's the approach I'm going to go with here. I'm basically just reading part 7 for real now, and the previous part was just kind of like, here's a breakdown of the mysteries if you haven't solved them now. This is how this works. This is who the mastermind was. This is how this works. Now we can get into the real arc. And the real arc is what happens if everyone finds the gold real quick. And this is the solution, okay? I just think of it that way. I think that's the best way to think of this current with this current game. That's the way I'm going. It's like, yeah, is it amazing? I don't know. Been loads of fun.
よくもお父さんやお母
How
さ
to
んを
make this kind. No, think of what is the point. Apart from this, is there a point to this game? Usually there's not too much going on, but there's usually some evidence. I guess we're getting characterization for Kyrie. Just reinforcing that she's like selfish and practical. I guess that's where we're going with this. How could you make this kind of game?
こんなゲームに
Do that to mom and dad? I mean, it probably is one of the iterations that happened. I think it's probably just the likely outcome of this scenario where they all find the gold.
エンジェ
NJ?
あなたは家族を連れ戻すことを願った。
You made a wish hoping to take your family back,
でももう一つ願っていたわ。
but you also made another wish.
覚えてる？
Remember?
覚えてないわよ
I don't.
あの日何があったかを知ることよ。
You wanted to know what happened on that day. Oh. Well, here's what happened. One of the possibilities. You have to know all the possibilities because you made that wish? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. What happened on Rakanjima on October 4th and 5th, 1986? Didn't NJ leave on her journey with Amakusa because she longed to answer that question?
そうだったわね
Right.
それが何
And what's your point? Yeah, what does this have to do with that? Go on.
そんな
Don't mean.
バカな
Is this the only truth of what happened? Leon realized what Berncastel was getting at. Is this the only truth? It's not quite clear. He realized he was unable to say more. The game master is neither Berncastel nor Claire. Then who is it? That's the wrong question. There is no game master. That means only one thing.
エンジェ
NJ.
まだわからないの？
You still understand? So is this the truth of what happened?
何がよ
これが真実なのよ。
Ah, I thought it was feathering. This is the truth?
1986年10月4日からの2日間の猫箱の中身よ。
The insides of the cat box of October 4th and 5th, 1986. Turns out it's the worst possible result for NJ. Interesting.
この後エヴァはクワドリアンで爆発を逃れて生き残るわ。
Afterwards, Ava survives the explosion by escaping to Kuwadorian. So this is the truth, but not the truth of Game 3. This is the truth of NJ's world? Interesting. Okay. So I guess we are led to believe that NJ is from the Game 3 world, but she's not actually from Game 3. She's from this line. Okay. Okay. She's from this world. Interesting. Okay. So there is only two solutions, because NJ was hard as fuck. Finding an NJ in the future was apparently hard. So there's only two possibilities. Either no one survives. Either no one survives or Ava survives via various means. Interesting. Okay. Yes, fragments are not... Fragments are kind of like timelines, but it's not quite clear. As they can be manipulated. They're like pieces of information necessary to create a timeline or an outcome. Yeah, they're possibilities of a specific possibility, right? They're like a specific possibility. Like there could be a fragment where where Kraus fires his gun first. There could be a fragment where Ava fires her gun. There could be a fragment where Ava's gun doesn't fire at all. Those could be fragments, right? A fragment's effectively just like a component that could create a timeline.
そして猫箱の中身を欲するあなたに最後の瞬間まで沈黙を貫くことでこの真実を永遠に猫箱に閉ざした。
Ava survives the explosion by escape to Kuadorians, and she never spoke the inside of the cat box, no matter how much he wanted to know. The truth was shut within the cat box for all eternity.
何を
What are you saying?
言ってるの？
エヴァ一人が生還す
Only
る。
Ava returned
いくら
alive?
警察が事故だと断定しても世間は納得しようとしなかったわ。
Even though the police claimed it was an accident, the public didn't believe it.
亡き夫に代わり会社を切り盛りしようと張り切れば張り切るほどに敵
She
を
took over her husband's company. The more she worked to make it successful, the more enemies she made.
彼女が壮大な陰謀の女王
Public
で
image
あ
of her
る
as
か
a
の
great
よう
queen
な
of
イメージ
conspiracy
を作り
grew
上げていた。
stronger and stronger. Not a bad plan, Burn Castell, actually,
彼
playing
女
the real
は
thing.
真実を語りたかったでしょうね。
Not bad. I think that makes this a bit better. I mean, before this was revealed, I already came to the conclusion that this should just be the effective, like, actual 7th arc. And I shouldn't be complaining anyway, so I kind of resolved myself to watch this and got over whatever complaints I had anyway. But it's nice to know that this does have a better purpose and that's actually the truth. I'm sure she wanted to tell people the
語っ
truth.
たとて証拠もなく誰も信
The
じない
truth no one
真
would
実。
believe without proof.
エヴァの心
Bit
は
by bit, Ava's
次
heart
第に
began
壊れてい
snapping.
ったあなたもエヴァを
You
拒絶
rejected
し
Ava, she rejected you
エ
in
ヴァもあな
turn.
たを拒絶するようになった歪み切った最後の肉親同士の関係
The relationship between the last two members of your family was strained to the
マナ
limit.
息子の面影をあなたに重ねては苦悩しますます歪んで壊れて
Each time she compared you with her beloved son, she grew more and more twisted and broken. Then a strange message bottle was picked up and became a topic of conversation. It contained a bizarre story, one that told him of a mysterious serial murder connected to Rockenjima's gold. Everyone rejected the explosion accident theory and started thinking up conspiracy theories. Some of the theories named Ava as the culprit, which tormented her more. Again, she actually was the culprit, so I don't care. She was the culprit in one arc and claims her gun randomly fired and killed someone. Like guns magically do that. However, Ava used even that to build up the cat box. Until the moment of her death, she protected it. She protected the lock that held the cat box shut. So no human would ever reach the truth inside the cat box. My throat is not liking me right now. Not unless those witches who cross the sea of fragments open the lock.
これが真
This is
実
the
よ
truth. I suppose it's the truth that she doesn't like, but is it the truth?
嘘よ
You're lying? I'm not entirely... Well, she might have a motive to lie, but I'm not sure she is.
嘘よ嘘よ
You're lying, you're lying. I think it's better... It's more amusing for Burn Castell if it's true, right? It's better for Burn Castell if it's true and she gets to watch someone suffer because of the truth, rather than, lie about this. So I actually think it's true, and
これが
sorry.
本当に真実だって言うなら言えるはずだわ赤
If
き
it's-
真実で
Ah, here we go. If it's the truth, you should be able to say so in red.
言えるわけない言えるわけがないのよ
There's no way you can say that. I mean, she hasn't been speaking in red yet, but I assume that we read here. If she uses red, let's see.
NJ
Okay.
NJ 落ち着いて
NJ, calm down. NJ writhed with such strength that the chains in her arms and legs looked like they might snap. All over her body, a red gooey liquid started seeping out. It was as though the cracks had opened up all over her and blood was leaking out of all of them.
何
What's that?
赤き真実ではっきり宣言してあげた方がいい
You want me to announce it clearly with the red
なら
tree?
言ってあげるわ
I'll say it
赤
just
き
for you.
真実で
Say it. Say it.
これはすべて真実
Ooh, it auto skipped. But yes. Oh, I can't even look at the text. It did say this is all true. She said this is all true. And of course, NJ's screaming no. NJ's yell covered up Burn's red truth. See, it's so much better for Burn Castell if it's true and she gets to torment someone by telling them the truth. Like, I don't even need to lie to you, I just need to tell you you're in denial.
バカな子
Oh, stupid kid.
私にそれを言わせなければ猫箱の中に封じ込めておけたのに
If only you hadn't made me say that, you could have shut it up inside the cat box.
でもあなたはそう言うわよね
You just had to ask, right? You just
分かっ
had
て
to
るわ
ask.
もちろん
I knew you would, of course. Yeah, for her timeline, this is exactly what
そ
happened.
してその絶叫に歪む顔が見たかった
And so I want to see you scream like that.
100年は思い出すだけで笑えるような素敵な形相だったわよ
A lovely expression that should keep me laughing for about 100 years. Burn Castell, you're so great.
戻りな
That
さい
laughter.
クズ肉に
Go back to being scrap meat. The laughter and then the backup laughter. I'm dead.
こんなのは嘘よね
Lie, right? Sorry.
嘘
Lies. Not a chance.
嘘
I feel sorry for NJ, but that's what it is. You don't understand? She's saying this is the only truth? There's no fragments or timelines? There's only one truth? And that's what happened that day? Okay. Let's think. Okay, so this is the only truth. This is what happened that day. The other arcs, 1 through 7, or 1 through 6, and 7 didn't really have one. And it's this one. The other arcs, 1 through 6, are all stories and potentials. And this is what happened. Interesting. Okay. I guess that adds more weight to this story, but also makes me wonder... I guess then I know what 8 is then. Sure, okay. That doesn't quite change what 8 is then. I don't think that changes 8. That just leaves 8 as what I think it is was going to be previously. Alright. Just reframes it as this being a true story.
NJ!
NJ?
NJ!
Has NJ returned to Borger? As NJ held her head and screamed, the blood dripping from her finally grew so thick it started scattering all over the place. Bit by bit, her body began to melt and fall apart. Bits of her began to pile up on the chair until she was nothing but a pile of guts and scraps. Ripperoni NJ, damn. That's rough. Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Oh well. That's rough, NJ. So Burn only reanimated her so she could watch this? Yeah, pretty much. I don't get why Leon keeps. I don't know what get why Leon is getting away with like everything he wants though consistently. It's kind of annoying. It's like Leon. Why is Leon here? He's like, I'm from a future where everything went well. Or does that mean Leon's existence isn't real? Maybe Leon should be concerned because that means his timeline doesn't exist either. As there is no fragment, there's no possibility where Leon exists. Leon doesn't exist. Period. Right? If there's no fragments or timelines, that means Leon isn't real. Leon's a piece. But Leon's still chilling. I don't know if he understands that yet, because he should realize that at some point, right? If that's the case, there's no tag fragments or timelines, and there's only one truth for today, that means Leon is never existed. But Leon's chilling here. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe it's because he hasn't realized yet. After all, it wasn't clear to me, immediately clear to me, so maybe it's not clear to Leon. Or he's just a piece and he's incapable of panicking, so...
真実ってそんなにも尊いものなの？
Really that sacred?
バカらしい、
Absurd.
愚かしい。
How foolish. I think Leon's still on the track I was on previously, where he's like, ah, interesting, so for her timeline, this is what happened. I think that's where Leon's looking. And if it's true that there's no timelines or fragments, and there is only one truth, and that's what happened on this date, then that means Leon doesn't exist, which should be even more scary, is that you're a construct of Berncastel and nothing else.
どうして人間は真実を自在にできないのかしら？
Why can't humans control their own truth?
バカみたいにそれだけを追い求め、そして目の当たりにして耐えられず、自らクズ肉となり果てる。
They stupidly search for the truth like it's all that matters. When they finally find it and they can't stand it, they turn themselves into scrap meat.
ねえ、見え
Are you
てる
watching?？
クレル、
There.
あなたもまたこの真実を隠したかったのよね。
You wanted to hide this truth too, didn't
あ
you?
なたは戯れに憧れる推理小説のラストのように
For fun, you wrote several Catbox
メッ
tales.
セージボトルに封じるつもりで猫箱の物語をいくつも書いていた。
You planned to seal them in message bottles like the end of a mystery novel you loved.
それをあなたは海に投じたわ。
And then you threw them into the sea.
この真実を知ったら苦しむだろうものを救うためにね。
All to save those who'd suffer if they know the truth. They're very
あ
generous
な
of
た
you,
が
isn't it?
猫箱で閉ざし、エヴァがそれを錠前で閉じた。
You sealed everything in a Catbox and Ava provided the lock. Fun, isn't it?
その箱を
And
私
I've
が切り裂いてあげたわ。
sliced that box open for you. I guess we'll assume NJ's real and that Leon's just a piece and is just a piece incapable of comprehending the fact that he doesn't exist and never has.
あんたが隠したすべてが無駄。
All that effort spent to hide it has gone to waste.
あんたが死んで隠した真実をすべて暴き出してやったわ。
I've exposed all the truth you hid with your death. Rough, buddy.
それがあなたの目的だったというのですか？
That what you've been after? It might just be.
あなたはクレルの死を恥ずかしめるためだけに
You did all this
こ
to
のよう
mock
なことを
Claire's
したと
death.
いうのですか？そしてそれをエンジに見せて苦しめて
You showed to Claire to make her suffer? Leon does not comprehend. I
やは
see.
りあなたは邪悪な魔女だった。
You really were an evil witch after all?
私は最初から魔女よ
You've。been a witch the whole time. I don't think she hid that.
退
at
屈
any-
から逃れることだけが目的の旅人。
A traveler whose only goal is to escape boredom.
生きてはめでて、死しては食らって二度目出る。
Care for it, love it while it's alive, eat the guts while it's dead. Wait, so Yasu, Shannon, Cannon, Claire, Beatrice was that Beato that was like dead expression wise when she gave the family the gold, so she sent the bottles? That's a good point. Who sent the bottles, I guess, is still a question. I hadn't thought about that. If she actually got capped and nobody was around to send the bottles, then it's either Ava or some random people inventing shit. Interesting. Hadn't thought about that. The only one who could possibly know is Ava because Ava killed every single other person on the island. Or maybe it's Battler in a panic. That doesn't make sense. Battler in a panic writing up stories. Besides Ava or the servants who survived, nobody survived. That's the point. They just said every single other person died except for Ava on the island. The bottles even bothered Ava, so Ava didn't write the bottles. So it's not exactly clear who wrote that. If this is the absolute truth, then it's not possible for them to have been written and spread, unless she spread them ahead of time. Is Battler still jerking off somewhere in a corner? Yep. He's dead though, so it is what it is. She said everyone died and Battler never returns because NJ is from the future. So, it doesn't really matter what Battler does. He's dead anyway. Yeah, so if this is the future, and the absolute future, NJ says Battler never returns, so Battler dies no matter what, and there's no coming back for him. Care for it, love it while it's alive, eat the guts when it's dead.
それが魔女の生き様よ。
It's how witches live.
私にはあなたが許せない。
And I forgive you for what you've done.
エンジェを苦しめ、くれるの。異なる世界の私を恥ずかしめた。
You've hurt NJ and humiliated Claire, the person I would become in another world. But Leon, there is no other world. You don't exist. That's the point.
私はあなたが許せない。
I won't forgive you.
リオン。
Is she gonna point that out to him here?
そ
Leon,
れでもクレルにとって
you're still
あな
Claire's
たは
hope?
希望なのよ。死してなおね。
Even after her death? Ah, there we go.
クレルは崖より投じられた時、すでに運命の袋小路に閉じ込められていた。
From the moment Claire got thrown off the cliff, her fate was already
そんな
sealed.
彼女にとって、あなたというもう一人の自分が
I'm sure. She felt a little bit of salvation.
異なる世界では幸せに生きていたことを知れたのは
To know that
さぞや
another
救いになったでしょうね。
her lives in happiness in another world.
そうです。
Right?
私は
I'm her
彼女に
salvation.
救いなんで
You're her
す。
dream of salvation, aren't you?
だから彼女の分まで一生懸命に幸せに生きなければならないん
I
で
must
す。
live life to the fullest for the both of us.
リオン、
Leon,
もう少しだけこの真実の物語を見せてあげるわ。
let me show you a little more of this tale of the truth.
興味はありません。
Interested? No, you're gonna get a bit more. You don't get a choice.
いいえ、きっ
No.
と面白いはずよ。
Very interesting.
エ
Okay.
ヴァとキリエの決闘が終わり、静寂に包まれるゲストハウス。
After the duel between Ava and Kyrie, the guest house is wrapped in silence.
その頃の客間へあなたを招待するわ。
Let me invite you to the parlor at that point in time. Battler did not pay attention, got his father killed, and got his mother killed. Let's see what Battler's doing.
客間、
The parlor?
屋敷の。
The one in the mansion? Yep. Burn Castell snapped her fingers and the scene of the mansion's parlor unfolded before them. You could have probably predicted that if Battler didn't go in the direction of the chapel and left the guest house, he was in the mansion, by the way. That's not like a super... There's only 3 places on the island to go to. There is the... Well, I guess the docks counts, but there's no reason for him to go to the docks. So, the going to the mansion is predictable. That's fine. That's why I said he's, like, jerking off in the bathroom, because he probably went to the bathroom in the, He had to go to the bathroom in one of the buildings, and their docks don't have one. Anyway. Alright, mansion parlor. In the cruel tale they'd just been shown, the parlor hadn't been particularly important. Jessica was summoned to the parlor, and then was led to the dining hall and killed there. There hadn't been anything to see in the parlor. And in fact, there was nothing to see in the parlor now appearing before Leon.
ここに一体何があるというのですか。
What's supposed to be here? 3, 2,
見て
1.
の通り何もないわ。
As you can see, there's nothing here.
でも見ていて
But watch.
面白いものを今から見せてあげるから。
I'm about to show you something interesting.
あなたが言う面白いものが言葉通りの意味のわけがない。
If you call it interesting, that's a sure sign it isn't. Are you sure, Leon? Are you sure? Sometimes Burnt Castell's interesting stuff is quite interesting. Let's see what she's got
ほ
for us.
ら、ご覧
Go
な
on.
さい。
Take a look.
そっちよ。
It's right there.
そっちの部屋の隅。
Right in that corner. Burnt Castell was pointing at nothing more than a corner of the room. There was nothing there. She told Leon to look there, so the latter was expecting something terrible to be there. But there really was nothing there at all.
そうね。
That's right,
何
there's
も
nothing
ないわ
there.。
この世界ではね。
At least not in this world.
でも、隣り合うかけらを覗くと、どうかしらね。
What if we peek into the next fragment over? On the white blank wall, bit by bit, a splash of blood seeped into view. Then, right there, a corpse appeared. But that couldn't be.
これは
This is...
私
It was Leon lying dead against a wall. I thought there were no fragments and that was the truth. Assure me Leon's corpse lay there exposed.
どういうことですか？
What's going on here?
どうして私がここに？
Why am I here? I assume that no one living can time travel. I assume that's an explanation
こ
now.
の世界は私でなくクレルの世界のはず。
This is supposed to be Claire's world, not mine.
私とクレルは同時に存在できないはずです。
Claire and I can't exist at the same time, right?
ええ、そうよ。
That's right.
だから今、世界を、かけらを移ったの。
Because I just switched worlds. Switched fragments.
あなたの世界にね。
Switched to your world, that is.
意味がわかりません。
I don't understand.
つまりはこういう
It's
ことよ。
simple. Saber faces only existing to suffer.
同じ末路をたどるということよ。
They both end the same way. See? The absolute... Oh, so the absolute truth of all worlds is that Ava kills everyone and gets away. Interesting.
意
Is
味
that
がわ
what
かり
she's
ませ
saying?
ん。
Is that what she's saying? That any fragment, including... Any fragment of a world, including possibilities, where Leon exists, is a world where Ava kills everyone... By some result, everyone dies and Ava leaves? Interesting. That's a more absolute truth. That's interesting.
どうして私が
Why
こ
should
こ
I
で
be
死ん
dead
でいなけれ
here?
ばならないんですか？
A very good question.
あなたの世界で
In your world,
1986年
On October
10
4th,
月4日
1986,
親族会議に先立ちベアトリーチェの葬儀が催されたわ。
Beatrice's funeral is held right before the family conference. Yep,
ええ、知ってい
I
ま
know
す。
that.
それが私にとっての今日であり、
For
つ
me,
い
that
さっきで
happened
す。
a short while ago.
それからその晩までの間に何があるかしら。
I wonder what will happen between that time and late that night.
何もありません。
Nothing at all. Well, yeah, it'll be a boring family conference, you think? You think?
いとこたちと楽しく過ごし、親族一同で晩餐を過ごし、
The cousins will all play together, the whole family will have a dinner together.
そして夜には親族会議だわ。
And then comes the conference after
あなた
nightfall.
は20歳になったら当主を継承するのだったわね。
You were going to succeed the headship when you turned 20, right?
それは親族たちの間でも円満に決まってることなのかしら。
Was the entire family satisfied with that, I wonder?
円満かどうかは知りませんが、そういうことになっているはずです。
Ava kills people, the end. Becoming more and more real. I don't know if they were satisfied, but the decision has been
当
made.
主様が決めたことで
The
すか。
head made it himself.
さすがに円満だとは信じてないようね。
Looks like even you don't believe they were really satisfied. That's possible.
そういうことよ。
That's it right there.
金蔵があなたを目に入れても痛くないほどに可愛がり、特例的に当主の座をあなたに直接継承しようとしている。
Kinzo adored you more than anything, so he tried to make an exception and have you succeed headship
そ
directly.
のことを親族兄弟たちが面白く思っているわ
Of
け
course,
も
his
ない。
children weren't too happy with that. The siblings objected to having Leon succeed the headship. Even Kraus joined in, saying Leon was still too young. And then on the night of the family conference, Kinzo tried proposing a difficult riddle.
まさか
Could it be?
それそうよ。
That's right.
碑文の謎よ。
The riddle of the
礼
epitaph.
拝堂の仕掛けを見ればわかる通り、金蔵は碑文の仕掛けを六軒島に屋敷を築いたその当初から考えていたわ。
As you can tell by the mechanism set into the chapel, Kinzo thought up the epitaph trick near the beginning when the mansion on Rokkenjima was being
い
built.
つか次期当主を選ぶ試練に使えるかもしれないなんてロマンチックなことを考えながらね。
He had the romantic idea of using it as a test to select his successor. He decided to present that riddle at the family conference. Did he plan to give the position of successor to the person who solved it, or did he promise to reconsider Leon's position as successor if it was solved? Either way, Kinzo was confident. Confident when no one would be able to solve his tough riddle which he had created himself.
あとはすでに見た真実と全く同じ展開よ。
After that, everything happened exactly like the truth you just
あっさ
saw.
りと兄弟たちに解かれ黄金の山を巡って一悶着。
The siblings solve it right away. There's a quarrel over the pile of gold.
そしてキリエとルドルフは翌朝の事件発覚とそれに伴う騒ぎを未然に防ぐため
Kyrie and Rudolph
深夜
decide
に
to prevent
殺人を決行する。
any chance of the crime being discovered the next morning and an outcry being raised by committing murder late that
い
night.
とこ部屋に集まっている子供たちを一人ずつ電話で呼び出して殺したわ。
They used the phone to call the kids out from the cousin room one by one and killed them.
いとこの筆頭のあなたは一番最初に呼び出され
As first of the cousins, you were first to be
た。
called
そ
out.
して客間でキリエに撃たれて殺されたの。
Kyrie shot you dead right here in the parlor.
うん、
Oh, that's
違
not quite
うわ
right.
ね。あなたは1986年10月4日の夕方の後ろ宮リオンだものね。
You're Shirmia Leon from the early evening of October 4th,
だから
1986.
こう言うわ。
I'll say it
あ
this
なたは
way.
今日の深夜に客間でキリエに撃たれて殺されるのよ。
Tonight, Kyrie will shoot you dead in the parlor.
そんな
That's insane.
バカな。
Oh, wait, this does bring into question what the actual ending for 8 is gonna be. Interesting.
それはそうだ
That's right.
確率だクレ
Probability.
ルからリオンという奇跡が低い確率で生まれるように
As Leon can be born from Claire thanks to a miracle.
キリエおばさんがそのような強行に及ぶのだって限りなくゼロに近いわずかの確率に違いな
Kyrie
い
only commits murder with a probability close to 0. That must be it. Kyrie is very practical. Anything she takes, any action she takes, should be should be very consistent. I don't think Kyrie is exceptionally emotionally driven, so anything she decides to do in response to stimulus should be like almost certain. It's like if she isn't murdered early on, she should consistently make all their decisions the same way.
あなたはそのわずかの確率の世界を見つけることができる魔女ではありませんか
You're the witch who specializes in finding extremely improbable worlds?
いかにもその通りよ。
Correct.
あなたという奇跡の存在を見つけ出すために257万8917の中のたった一つのかけらを見つけ出してき
I
た。
found one fragment in over 2.5 million to find the miracle that is
でも
you.
ね、
However,
あなたのこの末路はね、とても簡単に見つけられたのよ。
it was very, very easy to find this result for your world.
だって確率などないのだもの。
After all, probability isn't a factor.
私はわずかの奇跡があればそれを見つけ出せる魔女。
I'm a witch who can find miracles no matter how unlikely.
でもね、ないものは見つけられないの。
but I can't find things that don't exist.
私とて絶対の魔女に本当に絶対を保証されたら勝てないんだから。
If the Witch of Certainty guarantees something certain, even I can't win against her.
そんな。
But
では
then
私は
I'm
257万8917分の257万8916の確率で
with a 2.5 2 mil with a yeah, we're gonna say 99.999. Oh, hold up. 99.99999% chance
あなたはクレルとしての世界に生き逃れ得ぬ運命に翻弄され気の毒な最後を遂げる
You live in the world where you're Claire. Get toyed with by an inescapable fate and reach a tragic end.
そして257万8917分の1の確率で後ろ宮リオンとして生き
And with a 1 out of 1 in 2,578,917 chance, you'll live as Ushurumi
今
Leon
夜キリエに殺されるの
and be killed by Kyrie tonight.
つまりあなたのいいえあなたたちの運命は257万8917分の257万8917の確率で
In other words, your fate. No. The fate you two share traps you in an inescapable dead end, a hell of fate, with a 100% chance. A 2,578,917 chances out of 2,578,917.
つまりいかなる奇跡も許さない絶対の運命で逃れ得ぬ袋小路に運命の牢獄に囚われているというこ
With
とな
no
の
chance
よ
of a miracle. Imagine being this happy to be powerless, Berncastel.
残念だったわねクレル
Sucks for you, Claire.
いいえベアトリー
Or
チ
should I say Beatrice? Just when a bright light seemed to turn the world white, the scene changed back to the theater. On the stage, Berncastel's Reaper scythe slid across Claire's stomach as the latter stood absolutely still. A red line was drawn across the white skin, exposed now that the dress had been cut, and black blood began seeping out.
ベアトリーチェ
Beatrice,
閉ざされた逃げ得ぬ絶対の2日間に閉じ込められたあなたはその2日間の猫箱の中で無限を生み出せる魔女となったわ
trapped in that inescapable, certain, locked-away pair of days, you became a witch who could give birth to endless possibilities within that 2-day cat box.
絶対に救われない報われないことと引き換えにね
In exchange, it was absolutely certain you would not be saved, nor rewarded.
しかしあなた
You
は
had a dream.
夢を見たわそれが後ろ宮リオンという夢
You dreamed of Ushurumi Leon.
自分がクレルとならずに済み幸せに暮らせていたかもしれない奇跡の世界を夢見
You
て
consoled
自
yourself with
ら
the
を
thought
慰めていた
of a miracle world where you could have lived in happiness without ever becoming Claire.
リオンを
If
見
this
つ
feels
け
more
る
like
のは
feels more like a
本
proper
当に
chapter
苦
ending.
労し
Yeah.
たわよ
I had to work hard to find
そ
Leon.
の存在はベアトが夢見た通り本当に奇跡だったんだから
As Beato dreamed, Leon's existence is a true
そ
miracle.
して葬儀の最後に見せつけてやりたかったのよ
And at the end of your funeral, I wanted to show you.
その奇跡をもってしてもあんたは惨劇を逃れられやしないってね
To show you that even with that miracle, you couldn't have escaped from tragedy. Through the small crack between the bars of the jail that imprisoned her, the witch called Beatrice dreamed of a world where she might have been happy. However, the space she could see through the crack in the bars was just another part of the same jail.
私にはあなたという人がますますにわからない
The more I hear, the less I understand about you.
あなたはなぜこんなことをするのですか
Why would you do something like this?
ベアトにゲームで負けたから腹いせで
I lost a game to Beatrice. I wanted to get back at her. That's the Burn Castell, I know. Come on.
これで少しは負けたムカつきも晴れてきたわ。
Now I feel so much better about losing that game.
ねえベアト、見てる？
Beto, are you watching?
見えてる？
Can you see
そ
this?
して覚えてる？
Do you remember?
あなたには絶対に奇跡は起きないって私約束したわよね。
Do you remember when I promised you a miracle wouldn't occur with certainty? Burn Castell's evil laugh is great.
さあリオン、
Go, Leon!
ベアトの目の前であなたを元の世界へ戻してあげる。
Allow me to return you to your world right before Beato's eyes.
感激の魔女たちはだるい一家団らんのシーンはもう縮小気味だそうよ。
It looks like the theater-going witches are all sick and tired of those happy family get-together
だ
scenes.
からあなたがキリエに撃たれる直前の瞬間へ送ってあげる。
I'll send you to the moment right before Kyrie
そ
shoots
し
you.
てその瞬間をベアトに見せつけてあげ
I'll make
る。
Beato watch that moment.
死ねやゲロカスリオン。
Die,
ゲロカ
scumline.
スベアトの最後の希望。
The last hope of that scum Beato. Burn Castell raised her Reaper scythe, swung it down with gusto, and plunged it deep into Claire's stomach.
綺麗に死ねたつもりだった。
Did you think you'd get an easy death?
死骸を腹渡引きずり出して恥ずかしめるのが私の一番得意なことだってのに。
But humiliating and tearing at a corpse's guts is my specialty. Took the blade of the scythe heartlessly and ruthlessly, brutally raised it up into the air, following a vertical line from Claire's stomach to her chest. The blade cut deeply, slicing Claire open. The red-black insides jutted out, then burst like a dam breaking, covering the world with dark red entrails. It's that blood and teeth graphic again.
イタリア人の黄金を奪うだと
Steal the Italian's gold, you
卑
say?
怯者め後ろ宮貴様それでも軍人か
You coward, Ushiromiya, and you call yourself a soldier of the Empire? Father?
私はお父様のこと
I
を
love and
敬愛
respect
いた
you,
しておる
Father.
んで。でも
Your feelings
そ
or
のお
something?
父様の気持ちにはどうして
Why?
どうしてあなたたちは私を助けたんですか？
Why'd you save me?
どうして死なせてくれなかったんですか？
Why didn't you let me die?
私はあの時の大怪我でこんな体で生きさせられている。
Because of that terrible injury, I've been forced to live in a body like this.
こんな体で生きていたくなんかなかった。
I never wanted to live in a body like this.
こんな恋をすることもできない体で。
Body isn't even capable of love.
そんなの生きる価値がないんじゃないですか？
What's the point in living
そ
like
ん
this?
なの人間じゃない。
Not a human
家具じ
life.
ゃないですか？
It's like being furniture.
そう、
That's right. I'm furniture.
私は家具なんだ。
Furniture.
どうして私はあの時に死なせてくれなかったんですか？
Why didn't you let me die back then? When I came to, I was in the parlor of the mansion. When did I get here? I heard a sound behind me and slowly turned around, and there...
ごめんね。悪く思わないでね。
Sorry, don't take it personally. I could see right down the frigid barrel of the gun Aunt Kyrie was pointing. And then, she slowly pulled the trigger. Blam! End of the tea party? I could feel a razor-sharp wind pass through my body like a knife slicing through butter. Prepared to death and hoping to see my fate until the end, I slowly opened my eyes. The world had been cut in two. Kyrie was frozen in place like a statue, still pointing her gun with a cold smile on her face. and had been cut in half at an angle, the top part of her slowly sliding off to the side. That wasn't quite right. That wasn't right at all. It wasn't just Kyrie. The whole world was sliced in half at an angle and slowly sliding off to one side. Immediately after, fissures appeared across the world, and it shattered. Ah, it's Willard. Hello. You.
猫を飼ってると飼い主も似るもんさ。
When you own a cat, you tend to pick up their habits. Is Willard here to White Knight? He pointed at Berncastel with the tip of the pitch-black sword that sliced the world, glaring at her.
何
What's this?
戻ってきたのは気まぐれだって言いたいの
You say you came back here on a whim? I mean, Berncastel is a cat, I'm just saying.
お前がいい話で終わらせるわけがね
There's no way you'd let things end on a happy
え。
note.
そこまでベアトリーチェが憎いか。
You really hate Beatrice that much?
私が勝ち逃げなんて許すと思う
You think I'd let her win and get away?
私に敗北の屈辱を味わわせてくれた分
To
た
pay her
っ
back
ぷり
in
とお
full
返しをしないと
for the
ね
humiliation she caused me.
私根に持つと100年は忘れないわよ
When I hold a grudge, a mere century isn't long enough for me to forget it.
根の暗いやつだ。
You're a gloomy person.
私の心をないがしろにしないでほしいわね
Don't neglect my heart.
大丈夫か、リオ。
You okay, Leon?
どうした？おい。
Hey, what's wrong? Leon had suddenly doubled over, groaning.
胸が
My chest.
痛いんですこれは
Will roughly grabbed the hand that was pressed against Leon's chest and tore it away. Blood was seeping from where Leon's hand had been. It was the place the bullet would have entered if Kyrie had shot Leon.
リオンの体が
Looks
受
like
け
Leon's
自
body
分の運命をね
is almost ready to accept its fate.
リオン。
Leon, hang in here.
くそ。
Yeah,
鎖か。
it's chains. When Will tried to pick Leon's body up, he finally noticed the chains attached to each wrist and ankle.
何
What's this?
連れて逃げる気
Are you trying to take the kid in
逃
this
が
game?
さないわよ
I won't
リオ
let
ン
you.
が血を吐いてあまたの世界すべてに希望がないことを絶望して
I'm about to let everyone watch as Leon coughs up blood, despairing at the fact there's no hope in any of the many
も
worlds.
だえながら死ぬところを今からみんなで鑑賞し
Before
て楽しむ
finally
んだか
dying
ら
in agony.
リオンは見せ物じゃね
Leon isn't a show. Will swung his pitch black sword and destroyed the chains binding Leon. The chains and shackles shattered into bits like glass and vanished.
私の遊びを邪魔するの
You intend to get in the way of my fun?
え。てめえは神じゃね
You aren't
え。できる
God.
のは運命を嘲笑うことだけだ。
All you can do is
リ
sneer
オ
at
ンの
fate.
運命はリオンが決める。
Leon's fate will be decided by
人間
Leon.
の運命をおもちゃにするんじゃ
You
ね
can't treat a human's fate like a toy.
元老院の魔女この大ベルンカステルによくそれだけのことを言えたわ
Got guts saying that to the great Berncastel, Witch of the Senate.
リオンだけじゃなくあんたも用済みなのよ
I have no more use for you either, get it?
ベアとのファンタジーをミステリーだと断言してぶった切ってくれた
You showed Beato's fantasy as a mystery and cut it to pieces.
あんたの役目はそれでおし
Fulfilled your
ま
role.
いおとなしく帰っていればそれで見逃してやったのに
I'd let you be if you only just left quietly.
のこのこと戻ってきたからには私のおもちゃにされても文句は言えないわね
Now that you've strolled back in here, you can hardly complain if I make you my plaything.
おいでなさい私の可愛い子猫たち
Come to me, my cute
みん
kitties.
なでガリガリと引っかいてきれいに生皮を剥いてあげて
Brush
ちょ
them
うだ
up
い
and tear off their skin.
ぶどうの皮をつるんとひんむくみたいにね
Peel them like grapes. When Berncastel clapped her hands twice, countless pairs of glaring jewels appeared all around Will and Leon. They were clearly cat eyes, but the way the drool hung from their mouths looked far more terrifying than any cat.
ウィル、
任せろ。
I'll handle this.
猫の爪切りなら慣れてる。
Trimming kitty nails is nothing new to me. The number of jewels surrounding them already reached into the thousands. Will pointed his sword in one direction after another, warding off the surrounding cats.
リオン、しっかりしろ。
Get a grip,
お前は
Leon.
撃たれてなんかいね
You
え。
haven't been
撃た
shot.
れたことを、いや、撃たれることを
Don't
認
acknowledge
めるん
you've
じゃ
been...
ねえ。
No. That you're gonna be shot. Leon tried to fight an incredible tearing pain. It was a fight against the promised future Burncastel had shown. However, the stake of that future, which the Witch of Miracles had guaranteed could contain no miracle, was firm and merciless. Bit by bit, and yet unceasingly, it continued piercing into Leon's chest.
いいか、
Listen,
俺が一瞬だけ包囲を破
I'm gonna break through their perimeter for just a
る。そ
second.
したら全力で走れ。
When I do, you need to run with all
ど
you've
こま
got.
でもまっすぐな。
It doesn't matter
方
where.
向は大事じゃない。
Just make sure you get far from this place.
ここから遠ざかることだけを意識
Keep
して。
running, no matter what
ただひた
happens.
すらに
可能な限り
I'll try.
努力します。
The best of my ability.
無理な時
If
は
I can't do it,
許してください。
forgive me.
無理な時、
If you can't do it,
弱音を吐くな。
enough whining. Enough whining, Mr. Inheritor.
俺が許さね
I won't
え。
forgive
クレ
you.
ルも許さね
And neither will Claire.
え。お前はクレルの257万8917分の1の希望だろうが。
Did you forget your Claire's 1 in 2,578,917 chance? I like how they keep the number the same every time. He's never like, your Claire's 1 in a million. It's like, ah yes, the oddly specific 1 in 2,578,917. It's always that number.
お前が諦めたら、お前は無数の世界のお前たちを裏切るんだ。
If you give up, you're betraying all the other yous in countless
だ
worlds.
からくじけるんじゃね
Don't
え。
lose
あがい
heart.
てあがくんだよ。
Struggling and struggling.
奇跡を探すんじゃねえ。お前が奇跡になるんだ。
Become one.
私が
Miracle.
奇跡に
It only works if everyone wants one, right?
お前は幸せな未来へたどり着くんだよ
You're。gonna have reach a happy
く
future.
じけるんじゃねえ。
Don't give
弱音を
up.
吐
Don't
くんじゃね
complain.
え。もう一度弱音を言ってみろ。
Just try
今
complaining again.
度俺がお前の尻をつねってやる。
This time I'll pinch your ass.
はい。
Okay. I just looked at the photograph memory. We never get an important fact. Yeah.
この奇跡の魔女の前で奇跡になれとよくも言えたものだわ。
How very confident you are, telling this kid to be a miracle when you stand before the Witch of Miracles.
奇跡など所詮はファンタジ
Miracles are no more than
ー。ミステ
fantasy.
リーで断罪されたこの世界で這いつくばって無慈悲に虫けらのように死になさい。
Grovel in this world that's been convicted as a mystery and die horribly like a
感
worm.
激の魔女たちはそれを見届けたくて心待ちにしているのよ。
Witches of theater going are looking forward to watching it.
何がミステリ
You
ー
call that a mystery?
心のねえミステリーなんざ俺が認めると思うか。
You gotta accept mystery without heart.
三味線になりてえ猫からかかってきな。
Let the cat who wants to be made into a shamisen strike first.
ああめんどくせえ。
What a
まとめてかかってこいよ。
Okay, let's have you all at once.
SSVD 首席異端審問官ウィラード H ライト。
I'm Willard H. Wright, SSVD's head inquisitor of heresy.
これが最後の刃だ。
This will be the final time I draw my sword.
ぶちやれ子猫たち。
Trash him, kiddies. Ah, the teeth. They're cat teeth, you see? This is the exact same blood. This is the blood splattered jaw without the, this is very close to the blood splattered jaws without the, blood. Interesting. I was wondering why they were why they were like this. All at once, the cat eyes opened wide, undulating and spinning in a spiral, and swallowed Will up. But Will and Leon weren't swallowed up. The cats that flew at them from all directions were now being launched away like they were balloons popping around the pair.
あらやるじゃない。
Not bad.
子猫に用はね
I don't give a damn about your kitties.
え。親猫しか眼中にねえんでな。
It's just the mama cat I care about.
奇跡の魔女ベルンカステル。
Burn Castell, Witch of
伸
Miracles.
びすぎた爪を研いでやら。
About time someone trimmed your claws. In another flash, the black blade spun in a dark tornado and scattered the cats once more. Leon, realizing this is the opening Will planned, ran all out, clutching at a heaving chest.
ウィル走ります。
I'm running.
ダイアナはすぐ腹を壊す。
Diana has a weak
ミル
stomach.
クは温めてから頼む。
Make sure you only give her milk that's warm. By the time Leon asked Will to repeat what he said, he'd already leapt onto the stage and was confronting Burn Castell. It was like the climax of a show. Loud cheers erupted from the pitch-black audience seating. On either side of Claire, who lay with her insides exposed, stood Will with his pitch-black sword and Burn Castell with the scythe that could harvest miracles from fate.
キリエとルドルフが犯人で島の人間を皆殺しにした。
Kyrie and Rudolph are the culprits. They massacred the people in
デ
the
ィオ
island.
ンを客間に呼び出して射殺した。
They called Leon out to the parlor and shot him to death.
悪いな。そんな真実とやらをミステリーが認めるわけにはいかな
Sorry.
い。
I can't acknowledge this truth of yours as a
こ
mystery.
いつはすべて
It's all
ファンタジ
fantasy.
ーだ。
ファンタジー
Fantasy?
そういうことにしてリオンの運命を逃れさせるつもり
You're calling it that to try and let Leon escape fate?
やってごらんなさいな
By all means, try. More cats.
第一則手がかりすべての揃わぬ事件を禁ず。
Rule 1. It's forbidden to have crimes without all clues presented. Surely, Will's black sword must have cut through Burn Castell's body, but it had no effect, like cutting the reflection of the moon on water. All clues were presented, presumably.
なに
What's this? What do you mean by clues?
キリエとルドルフが犯人だとする。お前のミステリー。
I won't accept your mystery with Kyrie and Rudolph as culprits.
キリエたちが犯人であることを示す手がかりはいずれのゲーム中にも存在しない。
You don't find clues showing they're the culprits no matter which game you look at?
あるわけないじゃ
Of
ない
course you don't.
あったとしても島は丸ごと吹っ飛んだんだし
Even if they did exist at one point, the whole island blew up. There's no clues.
つまり手がかりなしってわ
Which
けだ。
means there aren't any clues.
ならばそれはミステリーじゃね
Which means it's no
え。
mystery.
ファンタジーだ。
It's just fantasy.
はあ
It's impossible for an unprovable truth to become truth in the human world. In other words, even the actual truth cannot cross the boundary of a cat box.
真実を猫箱に閉じ込めようというの
They tried to shut the truth inside the cat box.
それがミステリーの戦い方なの
Is this how the mystery genre is supposed to fight? Interesting. Interesting, Willard. Go for it. At least we... Kinda wish he wasn't interrupting me, but at least we got to hear Burn Castell's maniacal laughter. We can just sit and enjoy that for a minute. With a laugh like the howl of a wild animal, Burn Castell carelessly tossed her scythe aside.
戦うのさえもバカらしい
Fighting itself is a waste of
お
time.
いでゲロカス
Get over here,
好
scum.
きなだけ私を切ってごらんなさい
Try and cut me all you
あ
like.
んたの言い分全部聞いてあげるわ
I'll listen to all you've got to say.
貴様心をないがしろにしたミステリーをすべて貫く。
The 20 wedges will pierce every part of your heartless
触れて
mystery.
やら
Here it comes.
20のくさびで私を倒せなかった時は覚悟することね
And when you realize you can't beat me with those 20 wedges, you know what happens next, right? Come on.
さあおいで遊んであげるわ
I'll play with you if
20
that's what you
のく
want.
さびとやら
はあ
He was introduced this arc, but he's doing his best. Just like Leon. Wait, Leon was only introduced this arc. It feels like it was introduced so long ago. Huh. Ushiro Miyake. Okay. Credits. Interesting. So, the superhuman tea party next, I take it? An interesting line, I suppose. Whew. What do I make of the story of Kyrie and Rudolph killing everybody? I mean, if the truth is that there is no evidence for anything because everything got blown up on the island and every single visual was a fabrication, I don't think it's completely unreasonable. They've already said that there's lots of things we see that aren't true, and we can axe entire scenes and their contents. So I don't think it's actually completely unreasonable to just axe the entire game and say Rudolph and Kyrie are the killers. This is the end. That doesn't seem completely unreasonable. So yeah, what do I make of that story? Okay. Like this blue ball. Like the story is acceptable based on the rationale of the rest of the setting. And I believe the story of Rudolph and Kyrie killing everybody probably meets the requirements of most of the Red Truths that were applied to multiple games, assuming that they still hold for this game, which they may or may not do. So I don't actually have a problem with Kyrie and Rudolph killing everyone is the true story at the end. Obviously, the other realms were possibilities. It's like a thing, but it's fine. The question is whether or not that actually continues to be the case from here on. Because that would make the 8th arc kind of pointless if they were to reveal this and then end on a cliffhanger that doesn't actually lead anywhere. Kyrie and Rudolph is a cool theory because it lends up to the fact they may have left NJ at home on purpose as a backup plan in case things went really badly, which they did. NJ is your copium? Your hopium? Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with the theory. I do have a problem with the theory that NJ was left at home because they were planning on killing everyone from the start. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. As there's no motive either. So it flies in the face of our lack of motive as a central issue here. As well as a lack of evidence for that plan ahead of time. But, I mean, the scenario as presented in this tea party seems fine. NJ is your hope, and now she is ground beef. Ground NJ, perhaps? Trying to ignore an incredible pain in the chest, Leon kept on running and running without stopping. I dashed out of the theater-going witches and ran through an incomprehensible world of blackness. Before I knew it, I was running through a place that looked like the sea of stars, or perhaps the bottom of the ocean with stars scattered about. If I got careless for a second, I'd probably trip, or if I get careless, I won't be able to tell if I'm running, or just making running motions as I free fall, endlessly sinking deeper into the ocean of stars. I just kept on running without any goal or target. I mustn't stop moving. I mustn't fall down here. If I fall, I'll crush the hope of the Mies in countless worlds. There's a happy world that Beatrice's dreamed of. I am their last hope, the only one who can reach that world. And though I understand this, the truth thrust in front of me by the witch who controls miracles, who says there can be no miracle, is cruelly gouging itself into my chest. Sorry, Will. My body's already... Then Leon finally succumbed to the fierce pain and fate and fell over. Leon's body was held roughly from behind and lifted up. Huh? You're okay? Not really. Looks like he's missing an arm. Don't give up. Didn't I tell you I'd pinch your ass? Sorry. I'm really sorry. But that day in that place, I was fated to be killed. Right. All humans are fated to die in the end. Does that mean their lives are meaningless? Of course not. What a person's life means, what it's worth, and what it is, these are things each person decides for
押し
themselves.
付けられた運命が何だってんだ。
No matter what sort of fate is forced
受
upon
け
them,
入れるな。
don't accept it.
世界はお前が紡げ。
Create your own world for yourself.
ウィル、あなたの
Your left
左
arm.
腕。
ああ、忘れてきちまった。
Oh, right. Must have forgotten
取
it.
りに帰るのも億劫だ。
It'd be a pain to go back and get it now. There were rips all over Will's body. Also, his left arm was brutally torn off from the elbow. His clothes were in tatters, and he looked like a blood-stained scarecrow. Then Leon noticed. Though this place had once felt like a sea filled with stars both above and below them, the stars had now gathered together and were surrounding them. It was a huge, even number of stars, all glaring at the two of them. Will was holding Leon with one arm. He couldn't take his sword out. However, he didn't let go. He was determined to let Leon escape from here, to lead Leon towards the happy tale that the Beatrices had dreamed of. Behind the cats, whose eyes glowed out of the empty darkness, the queen of cats, who permitted no miracles, appeared.
ウィラード、
Bella.
リオンを下ろしなさい。
Put
そ
Leon
したら
down.
あなただけは見逃してあげるわ。
If you do, I'll let you go.
書面で大法廷に出せ。
File a protest with the Great
審
Court.
議してやるぜ。
You can put it up for
ウ
debate.
ィル、私を。
As a detective with a perfect memory, he forgot his hand. Look, it takes some effort to remember all your body parts, okay? I
置いてはいかねえぜ。
won't leave you
お
behind.
前に教えてやる。
I need you.
どうして俺
I
が
need to tell you.
SSVD をやめるのかを。
Tell you why I quit the SSVD.
そういえば、私も知らないわ。それ
Come to think of it, even I don't know that.
どうして？
Why'd you do it?
クソったれな。お涙ちょうだいのミステリーばっかりに飽きたからだよ。
It's because I got fed up with all those damn sob story mysteries.
ハッピーエンド上等。逃げ延
We'll
びてやる
survive.
ぜ。
And we'll reach a happy
俺
ending.
が教えてやるんだよ。
I'll
バ
show
ッ
her.
ドエンドしかないと絶望して死んだベアトリーチェにハッピーエンドもありえるんだって。
Beatrice died in despair, thinking there's only bad
だ
endings.
から絶対にお前を降ろさね
I'll show her a happy ending can exist. That's why I'll never put you down.
え。猫ども、左の二の腕もくれてやるぜ。
You can take the rest of my left arm,
欲しけりゃ
cat.
両足もくれてやる。
I'll give you my legs too if you
だ
want
が
them.
な、絶対にリオンだけは
But
離
I'm
さ
not
ね
letting go of
え。
Leon
俺
here.
が張ってでもこいつをお前というバッドエンドから逃がしてやる。
I'll take Leon away from the bad ending you represent, even if I have to crawl my way out of here.
いいの？リオン、
Are you okay with
ウ
this,
ィル
Leon?
はあんたをかばって死ぬ気よ。
Will's planning on dying to protect
嫌
you.
でしょ？
You don't want that,
私
right?
なんか放って逃げてくださいってお言いなさいよ。
You don't want that, right? Tell him to leave you be and save himself.
ウィル、
You?
おう、
Yeah.
私を離さないでください。
Please don't leave me here.
逃げ延びます。
I'll certainly
そ
survive.
して、
And so will you.
あなたも。
それでいい。
That's the spirit. Will has this backwards. You would fight by eliminating the opponent, not your own body parts. His arm's just slowing him down, okay? He doesn't need the weight. It's an exceptionally efficient diet. He's trying to reduce his weight so he can move faster. As he said this, Will had held Leon tight.
というわけだ。
There you have it.
あがくぜ。ベルンカステル。
We'll keep struggling on,
私たち
Bernkastel.
は奇跡を諦めない。
We won't give up on the chance of a miracle.
絶対に奇跡は訪れないと奇跡の魔女が約束したのに、
You're saying
それ
that?
をよくも口にできたこと。
When the wish of miracles is promised with certainty, there will be no miracles? You're not the witch of certainty, you're the witch of miracles. Sorry, you just didn't look hard enough. Because we know your job is to look for them.
さよなら、二人とも。
So long, you two.
忘却の深淵で死すら迎えられずに誇りに降り積もられて消え去りなさい。
Go collect dust in the depths of oblivion, unable even to die and disappear.
さあ、
How
子
my
猫たち
kitties.
殺せとは命じないわ。
I won't order you to kill them.
その出番の終わったコマ2つをお片付けなさい。
Clean up the two pieces whose role has ended. 100 million, a trillion, 10 quadrillion cats all bared their fangs. That's a lot of cats. In the starry sky of cat eyes, countless flesh-colored mouths opened, exposing countless teeth. The world was wrapped in flesh, blood, and fangs. the achievement for finishing that's rest in pieces. R.I.P. Alright. That was a long-ass tea party. That was a long-ass tea party. That was alright though. That was an alright tea party. Lambda not chasing. I don't know what Lambda's doing. She's just hanging out there and like, yeah, I'll let the Witch of Miracles say with certainty what's going on. I'm the Witch of Certainty though. Now that episode 7's over, what do you think was Beto's motive to plan the crime? I mean, since they gave us extra scenes about Shannon ranting to them about saving her because her body's disfigured, that's an interesting one too. I mean, I don't know if she's actually given up on Battler and isn't just super salty about that. Could just be rage at this family for all the damage they caused. And continue to cause. I mean, you could even say these people are all awful and do nothing but create more misery, so they deserve to die. There are so many motives to kill these people. Depends on how much you know about them. You just hate them more and more. It's like... Alright, welcome to the tea party of those who are not human. We're probably not gonna finish this one tonight, but I'm gonna go for it. Maybe it will be lucky, it'll be really short. One scene. Revenge against Battler was denied in red. Now I don't actually have to believe red text because I can reject it, and you could red text can be rejected, and so can blue text, so can blue propositions. But I could say a revenge if I wanted to. That said, if revenge isn't a motive, there's not a particularly strong motive for those. Other than the, like, mindless gambling because of the absence of interest in doing anything. But that leaves us with gold as the motive. That leaves us with gold as the motive for, like, for all the killings, right? Greed is the motive for all the other ones. What is Beatrice's motive for setting things up in the first place? Well, she didn't actually kill anybody. She just claims to have done setup for it. She's never actually killed anyone, so... It isn't even clear if she actually set up or planned to kill anybody. And maybe she just wanted to see what they do with the gold. Because now we've denied all of the events of all the previous games from happening and said that the truth is that she sends a letter asking them to fucking solve the crime, or solve the epitaph. They solve the epitaph and kill everyone. And she claims that she's gonna kill people, but she doesn't actually kill anyone. Or even have the possibility of doing so, since the absolute truth is that it didn't happen. 2 white pieces were set on the chessboard. The countless black pieces surrounding them were now just packed together, not even packed on the squares. Burn Castell tipped the 2 white pieces over and took them off the board.
こんなところでおしまいでいいかしら。
Is it really okay to end it like this?
や
Yeah.
はりそなたの朗読は耳に馴染むぞ。我が巫女よ。
As usual, your reading truly does fall comfortably on my ears, my Miko.
あんたのお望み通り腹渡の内側まで書き出してやった。
As you wished, I scraped out even the inner parts of the gun.
答え合わせにはこれで十分でしょ
Was that enough of an answer check for you?
実
Indeed.
に満足しているぞ
I'm。quite satisfied.
そなたが明かした答えを鍵に これまでの物語を遡り、
Using the answer you've revealed as a key, I'll go back through all the tales so
ま
far.
るで宝石箱のような密室の数々を一つずつ開いていこう。
Opening the closed rooms like treasure boxes one by one, I'll go back through all the tales thus far.
鍵を得ることは楽し
It's fun finding the
い。
key.
そしてその鍵で個々を開いていくことはもっと楽しい。
It's even more fun to stick it into all the locks.
ご苦労であった
You've
我
done
が
well,
巫
my
女よ。
Miko.
これより先は
From now on,
私一人でゆっくりと
Let me
思考を
enjoy my
楽しみ
thoughts
た
alone.
い。もう十分であるぞ
been。enough. The Witch of Theater going sat back in her rocking chair, a satisfied smile on her face as though enjoying a pleasant aftertaste. I mean, it could just be there to entertain Battler with a mystery. And then it didn't end up happening like that. Maybe she likes Battler and wants to show him the ultimate mystery because he's a mystery fan. I don't fucking know. A satisfied smile on her face, as though enjoying a pleasant aftertaste. The Witch of Theater going sat back in her rocking chair. There was no need for a game board anymore. She just had to go back in her mind through the whole set of tales to check whether her theory was right or not. It seemed to leave her pleasantly drunk, even better than the most expensive wine.
私はこれで用済みかしら。
Are you done with me now?
ご苦労であった我が巫女よ。
You've done well, my Miko.
その任を解く。
I absolved you of your duty.
私は再び眠りにつく。
I will return to my
こ
slumber.
の心地よきまどろみを数百年にわたって楽しみた
I'd
い。
like to enjoy this pleasant dream for a few more centuries.
そして私が再び飽きるとき、
And when I get tired of that,
そなたは私を楽しませるために、また
find
新しい物語を
another
見つけて
tale
く
to
る
keep
の
me
だ。
entertained.
それまでの数百年のひととき、
For those centuries which pass in the blink of
そ
an
なた
eye,
の自由を許す。
I grant you freedom.
あ
Outland.
っぱれであったぞ、ベルンカステル。
Splendidly done,
かわいい
Berncastel.
かわいい。
My
我
cute,
が巫女よ。
cute Miko.
知ったことじゃないわ。
Not like I care.
勝手に干からびて死になさいよ。
Go ahead, dry up and
じゃ
die
あね。未
So
来
long.
英語さようなら。
for the rest of time. You wish you could get drunk off text like Heather? Yeah, like Feathering, that would be kind of nice. Although, honestly, have you ever really finished a really, really good book series? You may as well be high. You may as well actually be high or drunk for the next, like, 20 minutes. It's really nice. Just saying. It's you're almost there. You're almost there. It has to be a really good series, though, with a good ending. Alright.
数百年ごときを、そなたは未来永劫と呼ぶというのか？
You call a few mere centuries for the rest of time? Featherine's consciousness slowly faded away. As the owner of the study's slumber grew deeper, the lights about the room slowly darkened.
永遠におやすみ。アウアウローラ。
Good night forever, Aurora.
このゲーム版は、あんたにはもう不要よね。
You don't need this game board anymore.
私がもらっていくわ。
I'll take it. Berncastel reached out towards Beato's game board, which lay on the table in front of Featherine's rocking chair, and tapped it twice. The game board and pieces flew into the air, folded up, and put themselves away, landing on Berncastel's outstretched right hand.
私、まだ全然ゲームマスターをやっていないのよ。
I still haven't had any chance to do any real game mastering.
私はベアとの葬儀をやっただけ。
All I did was Beato's funeral.
そして腹渡を引きずり出しただけ。
That and tearing out the guts.
まだ何にもやっちゃいない。
I still haven't done anything. Berncastel's smile twisted evilly. Then the game board floated up once again and a world unfolded itself above Berncastel's palm. Berncastel, shouldn't you do this elsewhere? I'm just saying, you're gonna get caught here.
さあベアとのゲーム版の駒たち
Hey, pieces of Beato's game.
私を最高に楽しませる最高に残虐な物語を紡がせてあげるわ
I'm gonna have you spin an incredibly brutal tale I'll find incredibly entertaining. Oh? I hope it's enjoyable.
おののきなさい約束された絶対の運命を
Tremble in fear of the certain fate you've been promised.
奇跡の魔女ベルンカステルの名において
By the name of Berncastel, Witch of Miracles.
そしてベアとのゲームの最後のゲームマスターとして宣言するわ
As the final game master of Beato's game, I proclaim it.
ただ宣言するだけじゃつま
By
ら
just
ない
saying it would be boring. What? That wouldn't be boring. It's implying you actually
ベアと
succeed.
のゲームにのっとって赤き真実で宣言してやった方がいいかし
Maybe
ら
I should follow Beato's rules and say it in red? Maybe.
それがいいんじゃな
Are
い
you sure?
まだ甘い夢を見てる魔女どももいるみたいだし
There might still be some witches with naive hopes.
あらラムだいたの
Linda, you're here.
いるわよね私のいるところならどこへでも
Of course. You're always wherever I am.
言ってやりなさいよ
Go ahead and say it.
甘い夢見てる魔女どもに
Tell those naive dreamers.
ええそうするわ
Time to have your hopes dashed for the last time. It's all over.
奇跡の魔女としてそして最後のゲームマスターとして最後のゲームを宣言するわ
As the Witch of Miracles and as the final game master, I proclaim at the start of the final
そ
game
して約束する
and make you this promise. We're going into the final
こ
game.
のゲームにハッピーエンドは与えない
I won't give this game a happy ending. Very interesting. Bernie cracks knuckles, pets demon cats, sips innards. Beato, let's begin. Sips innards of Beato, let's begin. Alright. No happy ending, okay. That's some certainty. And some certainty we presumably can't break. But she only said it wasn't a happy ending and not that Leon couldn't survive. Would it be a happy ending for Leon to survive? Oh, some sobbing. A single girl was crying in a desolate, quiet chapel. She was a small girl, only 6 years old. The girl who would, for 12 years starting now, lament the fact she wasn't on the island during October 4th and 5th, 1986. And then, a single man appeared. The man noticed the girl, walked up to her quietly, trying not to scare her, and put his arms gently around her shoulders.
お兄ちゃん
Oni-chan?
探したぞ、エンジェ。
I've been looking for you, NJ. The girl jumped into her big brother's chest and started crying again.
どうした
Oh, what's
何をそ
wrong?
んなに悲しん
Why
で
are
い
you
るん
so
だ
sad?
今日クラスの子にいじめられたの
Today, a kid in class bullied
テレ
me.
ビでお
Unforgivable.
母さんは悪い人たちとつながりがあったって
He said the people on TV were saying mom had ties to bad people.
だからうちのお父さんとお母さんが犯人でみんなを殺したんだろうって
So mom and dad were the culprits and they probably killed
エ
everyone.
ヴァおばさんにそんなことないよねって聞いたのに
I
答
asked
え
Aunt
てくれ
Ava.
ないの
I was hoping she'd say it wasn't true, but she didn't say
お
anything.
父さんとお母さんは悪くなんかないよね
Mom and dad aren't bad people, right?
ね
Right?
かわいそうに
Poor
みん
kid.
ながあの島であの日何があったのかを好き勝手なことを言ってる
Everyone
んだ
keeps
な
saying whatever they like about what might have happened on the island that day. The image that Berncastel is just a little kid bullying NJ, that Berncastel is like 7 years old. Oh, that'd be funny stuff. Berncastel's like a little... Berncastel's actually the age she looks.
そこにお座り
Sit over there. That would make her like 12, right? Anyway. How can you be in this chapel? Wasn't the chapel destroyed? When the man pointed to the floor, a cloud of gold butterflies gathered there and created a chair. The girl obediently
お
sat
兄
down
ち
on
ゃん
it.
は知ってるよね。
You know, don't you,
お
Nichan?
父さんとお母さんは悪い人じゃないって知ってるよね。
You know that mom and dad aren't bad people, right?
ああ、もちろんだとも。
Of course I know that.
誰も悪い人なんかいないって。
I know none of them were bad people.
じゃあ教えて。
Tell me.
あの日何があったの？
Happened
六
that day.
軒島で何があったの？
What happened on Rockinjima?
いいとも。
Alright,
話してあげるよ。
I'll
あ
tell
の
you.
日、
This
あの
is what
島で
happened
何があった
on
の
that
か。
day.
それは怖い話。
Is it a scary story?
まさか、
Of course
そ
not.
れは悲しい話
A。sad story?
とんでもない。
Not at all.
それはどんな
What kind of
話？
story is it?
聞いたエンジェが自分で決めるといい。
You can decide for yourself when you hear it.
決して辛い話じゃないんだよ。
It definitely isn't a painful story.
だからお聞き。
So listen up.
うん。
Alright.
バトラーお兄ちゃん。
Battler Oni-chan.
あの日、お兄ちゃんたちは六軒島へ行ったんだよ。
On that day, we all went to
とて
Rockinjima.
も大勢でね。
There were a
大
whole
事
lot of
な
us.
親族会議があることになってたんだ。
No red text on not bad people. It was an important day, the day of the family conference. Where
ま
do
ず
I
は
begin?
どこから話したものか
Where
な。
do I begin
これ
on
が
this one? This is
エンジェに捧げる最後のゲー
the
ム。
final game made just for NJ.
お聞き、エンジェ。
Alright, listen up, NJ.
あの日、六軒島で何があったのか。
This is what happened on Rockinjima on that
これ
day.
は辛い話でも
It
悲
isn't
し
sad or
い
painful
話
at
でも
all.
ないんだよ。
And roll credits. Of course we're rolling credits, because otherwise we'd have to start chapter 8 right away, right? Just for NJ, a chapter all for her. A lovely story for NJ. That's what we're here for. I mean, I did ask for a short segment, and this was surprisingly short. A very short segment, in fact, so short, I'm almost tempted to start part 8 here. Shit. We've reached the ending of part 7. We've finished the final tea party, and we're ready to start 8.